Are you selling scooter or are you selling electricity?
Both. Both.
नेपालमा गत वर्ष 11,000 भन्दा बढी चार पाङ्ग्रे गाडी आयात भए जसमा 70% भन्दा बढी इभी थिए। तर यहाँको 80% भन्दा बढी जनता दुई पाङ्ग्रे चलाउँछन्। चार्ज गर्न 6 घण्टा, रेन्ज कम र ब्याट्री नै स्कुटरको 30-40% कस्ट। यी सबै कुरा प्रब्लम भएको छ। तर अब इमेजिन गर्नुहोस् चार्जिङ टाइमलाई 6 घण्टाबाट घटाएर ब्याट्री 6 सेकेन्डमै स्वाप गर्ने सिस्टम। आज हाम्रो पडकास्टमा आएका छन् सहयु गोयल, एक भिजनरी एन्टरप्रेन्योर जसले गोगोरोसँग मिलेर इभी दुई पाङ्ग्रे सवारीलाई सबैको घरसम्म पुर्याउने तयारी गर्दैछ।
You run out of charge in your two-wheeler, होइन? Generally what you have to do is charge for 6 hours, 8 hours, घरको कुनै तार तानेर. In this, the concept is you remove your battery, you put it in that vending machine, we call it the swap station, and then you get another battery which is fully charged within 6 seconds. So this is a company called Gogoro. They have pioneered this technology.
Why do you think Gogoro is best suited for like economy and landscape like ours?
Four-wheelers ma आजको दिनमा नेपालमा I think 70 to 80% is EVs.
Crazy, eh?
In a country जहाँ four-wheeler को यति high adoption छ, two-wheeler मा why is it only 3-4%?
बिजनेस फ्यामिलीबाट आएको नयाँ जेनेरेसनलाई चाहिँ सजिलो त छ, सबै कुरा सजिलो छ भन्ने पर्सपेक्टिभबाट मात्र आई वान्ट टेक अ मोमेन्ट टु टक अबाउट दिस यो डाइनामिक्स.
There's a very famous quote that says that the first generation builds, the second generation strengthens, the third generation डुबाउने काम गर्छ. Something like that.
Hi Sahayu, welcome to our podcast.
Hi Anup, nice to be here.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fine. अनि I'm really looking forward आज कन्भर्सेसनको लागि. अनि there are very few interesting, there are few things you are doing very interesting, होइन? अनि I love to आज एकदम डिटेलमा कन्भर्सेसन गर्नको लागि I'm really looking forward.
Same, looking forward. I'm trying. There's a long journey ahead. Thank you.
सो अहिले आई थिङ्क मैले लेटली कपाल अफ मन्थ्स भयो, आई थिङ्क हुन त पहिलेदेखि होला तर मैले नोटिस गर्न थालेको काठमाडौँको डिफ्रेन्ट कर्नरमा चाहिँ एउटा मैले युनिक भेन्डिङ मसिन जस्तो देखिरहेको छु कि होइन. अनि त्यो चाहिँ ब्याट्रीको भेन्डिङ मसिन हो होइन. अनि ब्रान्ड इज गोगोरो. अनि यु आर द पर्सन बिहाइन्ड इट. सो कुड यु टेल अस मोर अबाउट गोगोरो भनेको के हो, के गर्न खोजिरहेको छ, अनि यो युनिक भेन्डिङ मसिन चाहिँ के हो, कहाँबाट आएको आइडिया?
हजुर, इन्ट्रेस्टिङ होइन. त्यो चाहिँ खासमा भेन्डिङ मसिन चाहिँ मान्छेले अ लट अफ पिपल थिङ्क रेफ्रिजरेटर हो कि त्यो स्लट त्यो पैसा हालेर त्यहाँ कोक निस्किन्छ कि के हो भन्ने अ लट अफ पिपल कन्फ्युज. अब कुनै पेट्रोल पम्पमा छ, कुनै बिग मार्टमा छ, कुनै यस्तो त्यो ट्राफिकको कुनै पब्लिक ठाउँमा छ. And then what we did was we put stickers on it, batteries जस्तो stickers to make people realize that it is actually not a vending machine, it's a swapping station. Swapping station भनेपछि the idea is that when you run out of charge in your two-wheeler, होइन, generally what you have to do is charge for 6 hours, 8 hours, घरको कुनै तार तानेर. In this, the concept is you remove your battery, charge कम भएको battery, put it in that vending machine, we call it the swap station, and then you get another battery which is fully charged within 6 seconds. So this is a company called Gogoro. They have pioneered this technology, and we are working with them to develop this in Nepal.
कुन देशको हो यो ओरिजिनली?
Gogoro was it's based out of Taiwan.
ए ओके. सो ब्याट्री सकिन्छ. अब मसँग त्यो एउटा ऊ चाहिँ हुनु पऱ्यो, इभ्यालुएसन हुनु पऱ्यो कि कुन ठाउँमा त्यो स्वाप गर्ने ठाउँ छ त्यहाँ जानु पऱ्यो अनि चेन्ज गर्नु पऱ्यो. त्यो चाहिँ कस्तो ब्याट्री सकिसकेपछि मात्र गर्ने हो कि यसले चाहिँ 50% अफ भयो अनि आई हेभ टु ट्राभल फार, त्यो पाइने टाइममा पनि मैले स्वाप गर्न मिल्यो?
So you can swap whenever you want, होइन. The way it works is जस्तो हाम्रो एनसेलको डेटा प्याक हुन्छ. You get charged for how much you use. So similarly यसमा पनि let's say you buy a 500 kilometers को monthly package and then you go and swap 20 kilometer चलाएपछि त्यसमा तपाईँको ब्याट्री maybe 60% remaining हुन्छ. So you get charged for that 40% of consumption. त्यो चाहिँ ब्यालेन्सबाट घटेर 500 को ब्यालेन्स चाहिँ अब 480 मा झर्छ. And then you keep swapping. So you swap unlimited number of times in a month, balance सकेपछि अर्को प्याक किन्ने online नै, and then you're good to go again. So this basically what we're trying to do is EV मा two-wheeler मा जुन range anxiety को, charge anxiety को जुन problems हरु छ, we're trying to solve that by introducing your swap stations हरु.
तर झन् एउटा पर्सपेक्टिभबाट सोच्दाखेरि त झन् एन्जाइटी आयो होइन, किन भन्दाखेरि अब मेरो एउटा दुइटा भाइहरूको इलेक्ट्रिक स्कुटर छ होइन, अनि आई सी देम कहिले काहीँ अफिस आउँदाखेरि चाहिँ दाइ मैले ब्याट्री पनि लिएर आएको छु, म एकछिन चार्ज गर्छु ल भन्ने हिसाबमा चाहिँ तार पनि आफूसँग छ, चार्जर पनि आफूसँग छ, यु जस्ट निड अ प्लेस टु चार्ज इट होइन. तर अब गोगोरो कन्ट्याक्समा त मलाई गोगोरो भएको ठाउँमै जान पऱ्यो, झन् हाई एन्जाइटी भएन, त्यो कता बिच बाटोमा अड्क्यो भने त मैले केही पनि गर्न पाएन.
Correct. So this is, we are trying to, आजको दिनमा the two-wheeler market is 97% petrol हो. पेट्रोलमा पनि we have the option, jerry canमा we can put the petrol, bring it home, घरमा हामी refill गर्न सक्छौँ. But the concept is that you go to a petrol station and
whenever
refill,
needed.
होइन? So we are trying to replicate the experience, the user journey of a petrol user. So similarly, isma pani we have a station coverage every 2 to 3 kilometers. And that is today in Kathmandu a better coverage than petrol stations. Not in terms of number of units. Hamro 45 stations, the number of petrol stations is I think 117 ki kati cha. But there are certain areas that say 4-5 wata petrol pump एउटै ठाउँमा concentrate भएको छ. So we have designed our network such that 2-3 kilometers in strategically located places, Chokaruma, Big Martma, petrol pumpma, we have put our stations. And that hopefully addresses the anxiety or the concern that you're talking about.
Why do you think this is a better alternative than to charge गर्ने वाला scooter? अनि specifically नेपालको कन्टेक्स्टमा why do you think Gogoro is best suited for like economy and landscape like ours?
So one step back, about why we started this and what our thought process was. अब नेपालमा if you look at the electricity energy space, हामी generation को problem solve almost गरिसकेका छौँ in terms of जति demand छ electricity को त्यो भन्दा बढी we are generating through hydropower electricity. Now the question comes on the consumption side. When electricity generate parts, how do you consume that electricity? And then when you look at that, there are different sources. There's induction cooker, there is EVs, there is our personal home consumption, commercial consumption and stuff like that. In electric vehicles, four-wheelers ma, ajako dinma, Nepal, I think 70 to 80% is EVs.
Crazy, eh?
It's crazy. I think it's probably one of the highest in the world.
Second highest.
Adoption
ko rate. GDP ko comparison ma चाहिँ.
Yeah. First है Norway.
European हो गया कुनै particular थाहा भएन तर नेपाल चाहिँ second हो.
नेपाल चाहिँ second छ. But when you look at our transportation, right, or our means of transportation, 80% of Nepal still uses two-wheelers. For mass adoption of EVs in Nepal, four-wheelers ma revolution आएर हुँदैन. It has to be in the two-wheeler sector, right? So then when we started looking at the two-wheeler sector, the question was, in a country that four-wheeler ko इतनी high adoption छ, 70-80%, two-wheeler ma why is it only 3-4%? And what we found was a lot of people want to buy an electric scooter, but they're not buying for 3-4 वटा reasons. So the weightage of the reasons can differ based on an individual. But one reason we found was the company or the vehicle ko performance. Will the company be here for 5-7 years? Spare parts servicing पाउँछ कि पाउँदैन? Will the scooter perform? उकालो तान्छ कि तान्दैन भन्ने कुराहरू. So that was one. Product market fit, trust को एउटा combination भयो.
EV scooter को context मा मात्र.
EV
two-wheeler को context.
Two-wheeler को context मा. Four-wheeler मा I think a lot of these issues have been solved. The second problem we found out was कि charge anxiety and range anxiety दुईटै was much more in the case of a EV two-wheeler than in the case of EV four-wheeler. It takes 6 hours to charge a four-wheeler and it takes 6 hours to charge a two-wheeler approximately. But when you charge a EV four-wheeler for 6 hours, you can get a range of 300 to 400 kilometers. But when you charge an EV for 6 hours, you get a range of 60-70 real life range, right? So for practical purposes, त्यो sufficient छ within valley. But त्यो मनमा जहिले पनि uncertainty हुन्छ कि what if I need to deviate अर्को कुनै काम गर्नु पर्यो, will that be sufficient भन्ने. And the other thing we found out through our survey was that a lot of two-wheeler owners, say they live on the first, second, third floor घरको. So they don't have readily available charging points. जुन problem चाहिँ four-wheeler owners मा अलि कम देखिएको छ. So अब the question is तार कति लामो तान्ने, स्कुटर कहाँ पार्किङ गर्ने, all those practical problems हरू पनि छ. And the biggest problem we found out was battery in the case of a two-wheeler has become a liability for the customer. त्यो भन्दाखेरि battery is 30 to 40% of your vehicle cost. In the case of four-wheelers, you get अब 5-7-8 वर्षको warranty चाहिँ मजाले दिन्छ. In the case of two-wheelers, you get on average 2 to 3 years को warranty, 20,000 kilometers or 30,000 kilometers. Then what happens is, yes, I have used an electric two-wheeler. म मेरो running cost चाहिँ बचाएँ 3 वर्ष गराएर. But 3 वर्ष पछि I need to buy another battery. So whatever savings I have done goes into new battery किन्नमा. So that has become a big sort of uncertainty consumers को लागि, जुन चाहिँ four-wheeler को केसमा त्यति छैन because the battery lasts much longer. So your different combinations हेरेर what we concluded was product solution मात्रै भएर नेपालमा two-wheeler को mass adoption हुन सक्दैन. It has to be a technology solution as well. So then we asked the question, which technology? And in that, battery swapping seemed like the best solution. Battery swapping, then we looked at which is the best, the biggest and the pioneer in this globally. This much we found out about Gogoro in Taiwan. And that's how this journey started.
अनि त्यो जुन अघि let's say somebody is buying for 500 kilometers prepaid हो, पहिले पे गरेर किन्ने हो.
That's prepaid.
So त्यो कसरी हुन्छ?
So when a customer buys a Gogoro scooter,
यसो गरौँ, त्यसो भए कस्टमरको लाइफ साइकलबाट जाम.
Sure. So I am a customer. I walk into the Gogoro ko showroom. When I walk into the Gogoro showroom, I buy a scooter, but I don't buy the battery. So that is the biggest is my differentiation. Where if you don't buy the battery, then you don't need to worry about its warranty. It's like a lifetime warranty on the battery. Then when you buy the scooter, त्यो सबै प्रोसेसहरु आफ्नो ठाउँमा छ. We download the Gogoro app on your phone.
Okay. Well, what's the cost of buying scooter?
So हाम्रो scooter को cost is 2,65,000.
2,65,000.
So when you buy the scooter, you don't buy the battery. Then once we've downloaded the Gogoro app, right? You get your scooter related सबै information. You get the access to the map. 45 stations कहाँ छ, कुन स्टेशनमा कति ब्याट्री छ and all of that. And then you also have this packages just हाम्रो data package हुन्छ. Similarly, you have kilometer packages. Some are 7 days, 15 days, 30 days, 90 days. And then you buy that package through a payment. हाम्रो e-seva खल्तीबाट you buy that package and then that package is activated. Then you can leave the showroom. We give you a battery त्यो बेला. Then you leave the showroom and then you keep swapping, keep riding, and then when you run out of that package, you buy another package. Stay app batani.
Are you selling scooter or are you selling electricity?
Both. Both. Our objective eventually is to become an energy company. That's how I would like to see ourselves. There is a component of whenever we have this discussion internally, right? This is a question we also debate with every time. This venture, right, cannot run with a trading mindset. Short term scooter mangaunchu betchu bhanera, we can't think of it in that way. There is that component of trading, but there is also a component of network development and infrastructure and service, right? Which is very similar to as जस्तो telecom को हुन्छ अथवा हाम्रो ISPहरू जति पनि Wi-Fi providersहरू छ, where they keep building on that network and expanding that network as they get more users and that network मा load बढ्छ and all of that. So our objective is the same as well.
अब अघि तिमीले भन्यो नि त कतिपय आई थिङ्क कतिपय स्कुटर किन्ने मान्छेहरू चाहिँ मल्टिपल फ्लोरमा बस्छ, कतिपय स्कुटर किन्ने मान्छे चाहिँ भाडामा बसिरहेछ, कतिपय स्कुटर अब आई थिङ्क स्कुटर इज अ गुड इट्स अ भेरी डियर इन्भेस्टमेन्ट जस्तो लाग्छ क्या, बिकज वान इट इम्पावर्स यु टु कम्युट होइन, यु क्यान ट्राभल यो ब्याक के अरे घरदेखि काठमाडौँ मतलब भ्याली बाहिर बस्ने मान्छेलाई देखिन्छ नि त, कतिपय स्कुटरमै गएको पनि देखिन्छ नि त होइन। सो त्यो कन्टेक्समा अब यो त फेरि सिटी डिपेन्डेन्ट मात्र भयो एक किसिमले अहिलेको लागि।
Yeah, you're right. Pros and cons, hai na, with every solution. Right now, the limitation अथवा the access of the network is within Kathmandu Valley. So, हाम्रो furthest station यतातिर is बनेपासम्म, थानकोट, भैसेपाटी, गोकर्णेश्वर. These are the extremes. अहिले having said that, अब our next plan is obviously पोखरा चितवनमा पनि expand गर्ने हो. So, we are right now targeting customers who need it for city use. In that, what I would say is petrol as a scooter liera. I think most people, we did another survey, when we talk about out of valley use, most people do that in bikes as opposed to scooters. So petrol scooter ma pani gairach. Now the question is, can I do that in an EV charging solution? The answer is yes, but how practical is that? As if I need to go from here to Pokhara, if I take my EV gharma charging wala scooter, I can do maybe 60 kilometers. Pokhara is 220 kilometers ati hola, right? So I do 60 kilometers. Then I stop somewhere, batoma kunai highway ko I'll stop. I find a charging point. I sit there and charge for 6 hours. Then I do another 60 kilometers.
फास्ट चार्जिङ पनि हुन्छ होला नि त गाडीमा गरे जस्तै?
Fast charging in scooter is a much more, it is possible. The impact on battery is huge on that. There's a whole just the powertrain ko jun design huncha. Like the 100 kilowatt ko jun gadi ko battery huncha. The whole wiring harness dekhi tesko powertrain design dekhi controller is designed to absorb high kilowatt of electricity power, right? So it does have an impact on the battery, but not so much. A two-wheeler is a much smaller, lower voltage system. Now, when you provide it with very high electricity, your system ekdam heat up huncha. So त्यो heat up भएपछि त्यो battery छिटो degrade हुन्छ. So the most simple way to sort of त्यसको analogy चाहिँ, a battery if running in a 45 degree को बाहिरको टेम्परेचर भएको इन्भाइरोमेन्टमा versus a 25 degree को इन्भाइरोमेन्टमा, त्यो ब्याट्रीको लाइफ चाहिँ आधी हुन जान्छ. And fast charging significantly increases the temperature. So that's why the battery life gets impacted.
So it makes sense कि अब let's say म अब दादिङमा गएर मैले 6 सेकेन्डमा ब्याट्री स्वाइप गरेर म जान्छु, फेरि कुरिन्टारमा स्वाइप गर्छु, rather than waiting. होइन?
So that is the plan. We are not there yet, but hopefully in the next 1 or 2 years, we will start connecting cities as well. So most common route being Kathmandu, Pokhara. So that's the plan. So the difference is EV charging, you can go to Pokhara, but the question is how long will you take to go to Pokhara? In this, you can't go yet, but hopefully soon that will be possible.
नेपालको what percentage of two-wheelers को market is Kathmandu?
हाम्रो डेटा हेर्दाखेरि it's almost 45 to 55% is two-wheelers in Kathmandu. त्यसमा पनि what's interesting to data is previously it was a motorcycle dominated market, right? But the ratio of motorcycle to scooter, which I think 4-5 years ago 70% motorcycle 30% scooter wasn't here, has now slowly started flipping, and the scooters is now I think 55 to 60% and bikes are 40 to 45%. The reason being scooter is both genders can use, male family, husband, wife, brother, sister in a family, and plus storage ko एउटा big reason पनि छ.
Plus better for like older people to use it.
Use as well. So it has a much bigger addressable market. And my gut feeling, if you ask me, is that maybe in 3 to 6 years ko time, I anticipate that the scooter ko ratio will increase significantly. And what will happen is the motorcycle market will become more focused and saturated towards the 200cc को बाइक्सहरू
लग्जरी अलिकति प्रिमियम हाई
अलिकति पावरफुल प्रिमियम होइन त्यस्तो खालको बाइक्सहरू एन्ड वेन यु लुक एट साउथ इस्ट एसिया दिस पार्ट अफ द वर्ल्ड जेनरली इट्स मोस्टली अ स्कुटर मार्केट right? And if you look at India, if you look at China, Thailand, Philippines and stuff like that, there's a big difference between the way two-wheelers is viewed in Nepal and India also versus how it is in these parts of the world. And I think you touched upon it, Alikati. Two-wheelers Baira is a functional product. I need to go from point A to point B. This is the mode of transportation that is most practical and convenient for me. Here, it's a more aspirational product, right? Two-wheelers are. So I think gradually that shift will also happen in Nepal, but I think that will take much longer. And that will coincide with the shift of motorcycle and scooter ko त्यो ratio as well.
काइन्ड अफ यो टु विलर्स त इभेन्चुली बेसिक निडै हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्ने कि होइन एउटा फ्यामिलीमा चाहिँ एउटा टु विलर चाहिँ चाहियो
Correct. बाहिरतिर it's almost become, if you look at it in China, it's very interesting. It's almost become a commodity, almost. Brand matters, but it's a pure functionality driven product.
अनि so you're pretty excited with the opportunity that you see because अब फ्लिपै हुनेवाला छ भने त होइन
Hopefully.
अनि वाट अब हुन त अघि तिमीले भनिहाल्यो ओन्ली 3% अफ टु विलर्स आर के अरे इलेक्ट्रिक होइन अनि वाइ डु यु थिङ्क इलेक्ट्रिक स्कुटर्स will have a higher demand in a long run than your fuel wala scooters?
I think 2-3 reasons, Tisma. One is from a government policy level, right? Nepal ko I think the nationally determined contribution NDC ko targets anusar 2025 summer the target was 25% EV garne. Now when you break that down, Nepal has actually exceeded that target, has met that target. Commercial four-wheelers ma, private four-wheelers ma, EVs ma, right? The reason why overall aggregate ma they've not managed to achieve that target is because two-wheeler ma they were not able to do that. Similar target exists for 2030 where 50% must be EVs, right? So in a way we have already met for four-wheelers. Hamro 2030 ko target pani we have already achieved or close to achieving in the case of four-wheelers. But as a whole transportation lai 50% EV garnu ko lagi now you need to push two-wheelers. So I think maybe government ko pani tyo euta हुन सक्छ an interest and push to promote electric two-wheelers. So that is one. The second is, I think, petrol price, right? We are seeing अहिले there have been all the wars in the Middle East and stuff like that. आज नै I think petrol को price कति 5 रुपियाँ बढ्या छ I think.
आजकल थाहा नै हुन छोड्यो EV चलाएर हैन.
So petrol price is always going to increase for a combination of two factors. One, global supply. The second is dollar ko price. So given that petrol price becomes unreliable or at an increasing trend, then that cost of running your vehicle becomes more important. And that's why EVs become a good solution. But त्यो भन्दा साथ नै I don't think EV हुन्छ. You need that infrastructure, you need that maturity of the entire ecosystem, whether that's your your servicing, your spare parts, your engineers, your stations density, everything has to go hand in hand for that transition to be successful.
अहिलेको लागि गोगोरोको सबभन्दा ठुलो च्यालेन्जेस चाहिँ के हो?
I would say our biggest challenge right now is definitely just concept awareness, right? I think it's a new brand and it's a new concept, right? And in a market that is where most people have a lot of knowledge or a preconceived idea of how things should be, right? So convincing them and showing them the value of this and addressing their concerns, like the concern you had about charging and things. It's a very we face those questions every day from our customers, so it is basically building that trust, right? In fact, one of the reasons why we decided to build out 45 stations is also to address that trust ko jun deficits are, is to address that we have invested in infrastructure first. Chicken and egg huncha kaile kaile EVs ma, haina? Do you sell vehicles first and then develop the infra, or charging stations, swap stations ko network create garepachi you start selling the vehicles? We took the approach ki first build out the network, don't sell a single scooter till then. Then in January we completed our network development ko kaam, 45 stations, and then only we started selling. So I think to trust deficit pani solve garna is quite challenging for us right now. And one of the hardest things right now is isko cost benefit explain garna ko lagi. It takes some time. I think consumers eventually understand it, but it's a process of sitting down, understanding their requirements, and then explaining it to them.
If you have to do it now with me.
If I have to do it, you're a tough audience. So generally what we have in this industry, we call TCO.
TCO.
So TCO is total cost of ownership.
Okay.
Right? So if you are a consumer, you want to buy a vehicle, right? It could be a two-wheeler electric vehicle charging, it could be a petrol vehicle, it could be a swapping scooter, right? So the analysis we do is, what is your cost to buy the vehicle? The vehicle kinnama kati cost lagcha, plus let's say you own that vehicle for 5 to 7 years. What is the cost of operating that vehicle? Ab operation cost ma obviously fuel ko cost atha charging ko cost aayo, plus insurance ko cost aayo, plus maintenance ko cost aayo, plus tax hola, road tax hola barsha ko. So you add all that. So you have acquisition cost, purchase cost, plus operation cost, minus your resale value 5 or 7 years later. Right? So when you do that calculation, you let's say have petrol scooter ko case mein, right? So your cost to buy is quite expensive. Your cost to operate is based on petrol ko price, maintenance high huncha and all that. But your resale value is quite good because it's an established industry, right? So you get a certain value. Similarly, you do that for a charging scooter, where you factor in battery replacement ko pani cost. Maybe 3 years later, 5th year ma kati huncha bhanera you calculate that. And similarly, you do that for a Gogoro scooter. Tyo garera, the calculation that we have is that compared to a petrol scooter, a Gogoro scooter is 30 to 40% cheaper, and compared to a EV scooter, home charging EV scooter, it is 10 to 15% cheaper.
And you are not even calculating efficiency ko cost.
Efficiency as in
जस्तै फर इक्जाम्पल भन्यो नि त, अब मलाई 6 घण्टा चार्ज गर्नुपर्छ हैन, त्यो
टाइमको भ्याल्यु अथवा the anxiety of will this charge be sufficient for my daily requirements, त्यो value place गर्न एकदम गाह्रो छ, right? So our concept is, it is cheaper to buy, cheaper to operate compared to a petrol scooter. And what we strongly believe is, as a EV ko charging EV ma resale value एकदमै कम छ. Even if you go try selling a 4-wheeler, the more established brands ko pani एकदमै कम हुन्छ, because the battery ko uncertainty छ. If I am a buyer buying a second hand EV ko 4-wheeler, म चाहिँ त्यो ब्याट्री कुन बेला रिप्लेस गर्छु भन्ने एङ्जाइटीको प्राइस अहिले नै म त्यो डिस्काउन्ट गरिदिन्छु, हैन? So you will never get the same resale value EV ma as you do in a petrol गाडी मा. The reason त्यो ब्याट्रीको अनसर्टेनिटीले गर्दा हो. अब हाम्रो केसमा ब्याट्रीको त अनसर्टेनिटी नै भएन. So effectively त्यो स्कुटर as a piece of metal को जे depreciation छ, that is your resale value, which will be much higher than an EV charging scooter. And we think it will be about how the market develops. The resale value is very supply demand driven market as well. How that evolves, but it could match a petrol scooter or exceed this resale value as well. But that is about how the whole ecosystem develops, brand co trust and all will also determine that.
So, for you, competition चाहिँ पेट्रोल स्कुटरलाई लिएर हो कि चार्जिङ स्कुटरलाई लिएर हो बिकज यु आर स्मार्टली प्लेसिङ युर सेल्फ नट अन अ सेम लाइन अफ चार्जिङ स्कुटर के लाइक चार्जिङ स्कुटर गोगोरो स्कुटर एन्ड देन पेट्रोल स्कुटर भन्यो नि त होइन सो वे डु यु सी यो नियरेस्ट कम्पिटिसन चाहिँ कहाँ हो
That's a tricky question, होइन. The way we see it is swapping नै will become the future भन्ने पनि we don't think. For all. It's not like a winner takes all wala game होइन यो. I don't think so. I think it will be a market where all solutions will exist depending on the requirement of the consumer and the customer. So there will be certain customers who really enjoy petrol ko, the experience of riding a petrol scooter. The engine ko sound, the rev garera jun त्यो thrill huncha, right? People will really enjoy that, right? So that market will always exist, right? There will be a market who believe that for me, I do like 5 to 10 kilometers a day. I am okay with the battery ko uncertainty as well. And they might prefer a charging solution. And there will be a market for people who really downtime zero hunu paryo, cost pani sasto hunu paryo. And I don't want to take the headache of the battery and I don't want to stand in a petrol pump ko line ma pani malai basnu chaina bhanera. They might prefer swapping. So I think different market segments like different solutions cater गर्छ I think.
तर अहिले तिमीसँग कुरा गर्दाखेरि त त्यो चार्जिङ स्कुटर भन्दा त with any logic the swapping seems a smarter move होइन र
I would like to believe so. It's very difficult to convince our customers on this. A large part of it is also education, I think. It's just awareness, education. It's a new concept. So for security reasons, the QR code updates every 24 hours.
Okay.
So the QR code dekhaepachi dhoka khulcha, which is an empty slot. So empty slot ma you put your battery. Scooter ma bhako battery, you put that in. Now what the system does is it recognizes Costco battery ho yo. And this is where I think Gogoro ko jun backend tech is extremely advanced, right? So the QR is not the method by which the system recognizes that yo chai person number Mr. A ko scooter ho bhanne is not through the QR. It's through the battery. So backend ma there's a pairing that happens ki yo battery say yo scooter ma thiyo and this scooter belongs to Mr. A.
तर त्यो ब्याट्री त भोलि गएर मिस्टर बीले युज गर्न सक्यो.
Correct. So when I come to swap, I put that battery. System le recognize garyo. Then the system gives you another battery. And then it updates. Ki aba battery number 1 chai wahale firta garnu bhayo. Battery number 2 is now in this scooter with this person. And that's how the system keeps updating itself. And then it checks backend ma ki tapaiko package ma kati allowance cha. Allowance cha bhani it will give you another battery and you can keep swapping and running.
मेरो ब्याट्री चाहिँ अब म भनौँ न अब खोखनामा सकियो अरे होइन. अब यहाँ भैँसीबाटीको बेगमाटमा छ होइन. सो आई हेभ टु क्यारी इट एउटा कुनै बसमा चढेर अरू कुनै स्कुटरमा पथा गरेर क्यारी गरेर त्यहाँ गएर फेरि द्याट्स द प्रोसेस हो.
So I think with any just home charging or petrolमा पनि I think त्यो जर्नी चाहिँ प्लान गर्नु नै पर्यो होइन. when to sort of refuel, when to charge, when to swap. Now assuming that battery सक्यो, right? So what we do is let's say you call us, हाम्रो roadside assistance team चाहिँ will come to your location, will give you a spare battery and will take your battery and then put it in the station. So त्यसरी we can support.
Do you charge extra for that?
No, we don't.
So त्यो मिसयुज हुन सक्यो नि होइन सर्भिस.
Misuse just the I mean at the end of the day customer
एक्ज्याक्टली उसलाई पनि त गाह्रो भइरहेको
उसले पनि त गाह्रो भइरहेछ.
अनि भनेपछि त तिम्रो एन्डमा त यो वाट्स द के भन्छ स्टक अफ ब्याट्री यु निड टु मेन्टेन फर एक्स नम्बर अफ स्कुटर बिङ सोल्डले चाहिँ 50वटा 100वटा स्कुटर बेच्यो भने कतिवटा ब्याट्री राख्नु पऱ्यो प्यारलली त्यसको लागि.
So we have a ratio, right? Internally we have a ratio what we call it the road to rack ratio. road being number of batteries in the scooter on the road running around, होइन? Rack being the number of batteries that are in the station that are being charged and is available for swapping. But what we monitor is at any given point, हाम्रो systemले at any given point, are our customers getting 100% charged battery when they come to swap, right? So we call it the miss rate. If someone is getting less than 100% charged battery, it means that the miss rate ma आयो. And then we know the Bhaisi party ko station ma miss rate body racha, right? So we need to now think about कि त्यो miss rate अब हुनु भएन. So what do we do to address it? So there are 2 or 3 options, right? One is we increase the number of stations at that location, right? The second option is we add a station maybe 500 meters away from that location, so that maybe the traffic could be coming from that direction as well, right? Or we understand and see why is that happening. Have we sold more scooters in that particular location than in another location, right? So at the end of the day, it's a supply or demand, like we have to keep managing it at every station, and that is our responsibility, right? As a company to do that. And Gogoro now in Taiwan has more than 12,500 stations, more than 6 lakh subscribers. So they have perfected this, where is the network load body, where do you need to add stations and stuff. So even when we tell them send us scooters, when we place a scooter order, right, to sell over here, the first question or the first step of analysis we do is, by selling these scooters, is our network going to be overloaded or effective, right? So if they feel the station ma load body parcha, then we are not allowed to get a scooter. Then we have to get batteries in station first. Get those, deploy those, get them up and running, then we start selling scooters.
Because okay, what kind of agreement is this? Franchising model ma ho?
We call it like a exclusive partnership.
अनि तिम्रो एन्डमा चाहिँ त्यो पर्टिकुलर ब्याट्रीको लाइफ स्प्यान चाहिँ कति हुन्छ? जस्तै फर इक्जाम्पल अब तिमीले त अब भन्यो नि, अब मैले चाहिँ आई बाई अ गोगोरो एन्ड आई मेन्टेन इट फर 10 इयर्सले चाहिँ, अब 15 इयर्स म एकदमै जतन गरेर चलाउने मान्छे हो अरे म, होइन भन्छ मैले चिन्दैभरि सर्भिस पाउनु पऱ्यो, होइन भनेपछि त तिम्रो एन्डमा पनि त्यसको त इन्फाइनाइट त छैन नि त, फाइनाइट नै छ नि त त्यो ब्याट्रीको लाइफ.
So what happens is, just early Gogoro, they started in 2014. So their first batch of batteries, 2014 ma start bhako. Aba balla gaera त्यो चाहिँ लाइफ सकेर दे गेटिङ इट आउट अफ देयर सिस्टम, त्यो नेटवर्कबाट निकालिरहेछ बिकज त्यसको लाइफ सक्यो. सो फर देम इट्स बिन रनिङ फर अलमोस्ट 10 years, राइट? बट वाट द डिफरेन्स इज, स्वप स्टेशन्स चाहिँ आर डिजाइन्ड, there's a lot of AI into this, are designed to extend the life of the battery, whereby battery ko life is determined by how you charge it, right? Like I said, fast charging le garda battery ko life significantly deteriorates, whereas what the Gogoro station does is it has an inbuilt algorithm. Just the 5 to 7 PM belka is a high swapping period. Biana 9 देखि 10 बजे अफिस जाने बेलामा also there's high swapping. So what the system does is it fast charges the battery, but maybe राति 12 बजे there isn't too much swapping, so it slow charges the battery with the objective, how do I elongate the life of the battery? And the second thing is that impacts the battery's life is जुन power को source छ, how stable is that? घरमा हाम्रो घरमा देयर इज अ लट अफ फ्लक्चुएसन, भोल्टेज फ्लक्चुएसनहरू भइरहेको हुन्छ. सो द्याट सिग्निफिकेन्टली अफेक्ट्स द ब्याट्रीको लाइफ. स्टेसनमा त्यो पहिला स्टेसनले अब्जर्भ गर्छ अल द भोल्टेज फ्लक्चुएसन, देन इट पासेस इट अन टु द ब्याट्री. सो बिकज अफ द्याट अल्सो द ब्याट्री लाइफ इन्क्रिजेस सिग्निफिकेन्टली.
अनि स्टेसन कन्ट्याक्समा डु यु टेक इलेक्ट्रिसिटी फ्रम त्यो पर्टिकुलर बिल्डिङ टु रेन्टेड स्पेस कि डु इट डिरेक्टली थ्रु एनइए?
we have taken directly from NEA because we felt if we took it from that existing building, kaile load pugdaina, there are all those challenges. So we didn't want to be dependent on that local place. So we've taken it from NEA. And the other thing that happens is हाम्रो stations ma, if batti gएको बेलामा, right, you can't have a situation where your station is not working. अनि अहिले recently त बत्ती पनि धेरै गइरहेछ. So the inbuilt mechanism in the stations is that one of the batteries works like a UPS system, like an inverter. So त्यो battery चाहिँ is then not available for swapping. The system automatically assigns one battery which is 100% charge. यो अब swapping को लागि available हुँदैन बत्ती गएको बेलामा. And that battery ko energy, it's a store of energy battery. So that battery ko energy powers the entire station and the other batteries as well. So when a customer comes ani batti gएको छ in the entire neighborhood, they can still swap and get a battery, and that swap station is still running because of this inbuilt UPS inverter system.
So in next 10 years, you'll have a bunch, like massive amount of batteries which are not working, which are not on the ground. So what's next? Obviously, जसरी यो बिजनेसलाई प्लान गरेर आएको छ, you must have thought त्यो फेज पनि हैन.
So that's also a very एकदमै exciting unknown जस्तो space छ त्यहाँ. But just a few जस्तो हामी अहिलेदेखि नै we started exploring and seeing what we can do on that, because like you said, त्यो batteries आएपछि हैन, after we take it out of the network, is that an asset or a liability? हैन. So Gogoro, what they've started doing is there's batteries that they've removed from their stations अहिले त्यो चाहिँ त्यसको second life use पनि हुन्छ. So the concept is that mobility applications ma, just a scooter ma, battery ko life 70-75% ma झरेपछि you should remove it from mobility applications, and then it goes into second life use. Second life use ma, it's more less extensive use ko lagi it can be created and used. So one example is in Taiwan, what they do is traffic lights go back up. So in traffic lights ko tyo pole ma, they've put these batteries as a backup power. So they supply power to these traffic lights through these Gogoro batteries, which have been removed from the station network. So that is one application. The second is हाम्रो residential ma pani, as inverter UPS backup, we can utilize it. Then similarly solar ma pani we can have similar, जुन बेला चाहिँ घाम लागेको छैन, you can use these as reserve source of energy and then put that into the grid. And another application that Gogoro has done in Taiwan, they've created something called virtual power plants. So just the grid pani हाम्रो stable हुँदैन. राति चाहिँ there is a lot of demand, there's a lot of stress on the grid. दिनमा चाहिँ not so much. Similarly, season अनुसार or during the year also that fluctuates, like when people are using AC a lot, त्यो बेला ग्रिडमा लोड पर्छ. So त्यो grid balance गर्नको लागि पनि you can create these energy storage systems, which is battery को bank जस्तो भयो, which takes energy from the grid off peak time ma. त्यो लिएर it stores it in that, and then peak time ma it supplies energy along with the grid, and then it balances the grid ko supply and demand through that.
So त्यो 10 वर्षमा चाहिँ हुने भनेको चाहिँ 25 देखि 30% मात्र कम हुने ब्याट्रीको उ चाहिँ, किन 70% भइसक्यो त निकाल्नु पर्यो.
70% भएपछि निकाल्नु पर्यो. So we call it state of health. So there are two things. Only technical.
Let's make it technical.
So there is it's called SOC, state of charge. State of charge is when you are just charge गर्यो अथवा swap गर्यो, दिनभरि चलायो, your battery drops at 40%, हैन. Then you charge it again, it becomes 100%, हैन. So that is your SOC. तर जस्तो हाम्रो ब्याट्री, मोबाइलको ब्याट्रीको पनि हेल्थ we start noticing, हैन. सुरुमा किन्दाखेरि it works for दिनभरि नै काम गर्छ 12-14 घण्टा, त्यसपछि फुल नाइट चार्ज गरेर पनि 8 घण्टा मात्रै चल्छ त्यो ब्याट्री, right? The reason being that the SOH is dropping, त्यसको health is dropping. So similarly electric vehiclesको पनि जुन ब्याट्री छ the SOH drops to 70-75% over a certain period. It's not linear, त्यो अलिकति depending on a lot of factors it drops होइन. त्यो भएपछि and you can monitor that through software backend systemबाट नै you get to know. So त्यो भएपछि you remove that battery from the network and then use it for these applications.
अब आई थिङ्क ल यो क्वेसनसँग अझै एउटा क्वेसन सोध्छु. अहिले गोगोरो स्कुटरमा चाहिँ पर किलोमिटर what's money being invested from a user perspective?
So you pay per kilometer of riding, right? So यसमा चाहिँ it starts at 1.8 rupees per kilometer.
That's the cheapest होइन त अहिले.
So yeah, so it's a range. So those who run more, होइन, जस्तो data pack मा पनि if you consume a lot of data in a month, your per MB cost is slightly lower. So 1.8 rupees per kilometer is where it starts and it goes up to 2.4 rupees per kilometer. So त्यो range भित्र there
जति धेरै लियो त्यति सस्तो हुने त हो.
जति ठुलो जति किलोमिटर रनिङ पर डे जति बढी भयो त्यति पर किलोमिटर कस्ट सस्तो हुन जान्छ.
अब यसको वाट आर द के अरे बिजनेस अपर्च्युनिटिज डु यु सी? यो चाहिँ एउटा रेगुलर मान्छे जसलाई चाहिँ मोबिलिटी चाहिएको छ उसको लागि मात्र हो कि यु अल्सो सी जस्तो अहिले त अब लजिस्टिक इज समथिङ द्याट्स पिकिङ अप क्वाइट वेल होइन. अब यु लिसनिङ टु न्युज करोड उठाइरहेको छ लजिस्टिक कम्पनीजहरूले. इकमर्स एउटा पर्सपेक्टिभबाट हेर्दाखेरि चाहिँ इफ दे आर डुइङ देयर ओन डेलिभरी दे आर अल्सो एक्टिङ लाइक अ डेलिभरी या लजिस्टिक कम्पनी. सो यो होल डाइनामिक्सको चाहिँ भइरहेको छ इन्टरनेट इकमर्स डेलिभरी लास्ट मिनट डेलिभरी 10 minutes डेलिभरीको चाहिँ भइरहेको छ राइड सेयरिङको आइरहेको छ. हाउ डु यु सी गोगोरो फिटिङ इन दिस डाइनामिक्स?
सो हाम्रो लो ह्याङ्गिङ फ्रुट होइन आई वुड से इज दिस स्पेस राइट वेयर जस्तो हाम्रो राइड सेयरिङ अथवा डेलिभरी कम्पनीज एन्ड अल दे डोन्ट वान्ट डाउन टाइम होइन. सो दे आर अन द मुभ कन्सटेन्टली. एउटा ट्रिप गऱ्यो अर्को ट्रिप लगाउने, एउटा डेलिभरी गऱ्यो अर्को डेलिभरी गर्ने राइट. सो फर देम एन्ड दे रन अन एभरेज 90, 100, 110 kilometers per day. So अस्ति नै we had an interesting case of one Gogoro rider doing 270 kilometers on Food Mandu, which is I think highest for Food Mandu as well, right? The reason he could do that was downtime say zero baht here, right? So people, so there is that segment, they care about downtime, they care about doing as many kilometers per day, and then they care a lot about cost, right? So when you look at EV charging, it cannot solve the problem of downtime and doing, let's say EV charging your range is 60 kilometers, you have to charge. What if I want to do 62 kilometers in a day, right? I can't do that 2 extra kilometers. Even if that 2 kilometers means yahaबाट घर जानको लागि पनि I can't do that, right? But in this you can do that. Now a petrol scooter can do this, right? Petrol you can keep running as much as you. Then the question becomes cost, right? अब हाम्रो केसमा that cost let's say is 1.82 rupees भनौँ होइन. In the case of a petrol scooter it becomes 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6 rupees को range. So it's almost 60% cheaper. So त्यहाँबाट savings चाहिँ बढ्न सक्छ. So yes, त्यो जुन the entire just gig economy जुन हामी भन्छौँ नि which is growing in Nepal, very quickly it's growing. So that is a huge application. The second is businesses ko lagi, right? Businesses generally want a lot of control over their asset. You know, मेरो scooter कहाँ गइरहेछ, petrol को कति पैसा claim भइरहेछ, all of those things, right? So this gives them that visibility and all of that.
VAT bill पनि आउँछ होला उस्तै परे.
यो जुन 1.8 rupees, 2 rupees is inclusive of VAT, which a business can claim.
Okay.
Which petrol ko VAT, petrol is a non-vatable item, होइन. Diesel चाहिँ हो फेरि तर petrol चाहिँ होइन. So that is another advantage. So generally what we see is B2C is a very emotional driven market. As an individual, for my own personal use, घरबाट office, officeबाट घर, if I want to buy a scooter, it's an emotion preference based market.
Status पनि भयो होइन.
Status पनि भयो and aspiration पनि भयो. The B2B market is a very rational, practical, logical driven market, right? They don't care color, they might not care so much, right? But a B2C customer might have a very strong preference on color. Now this B2B ko jun markets are, what they care about is it should be reliable, it should keep running, and it should be cheap for me. And leakages hunu bhayena system. If you can solve for all that, then it becomes a very good solution for them.
Makes sense. अब the future of sales is e-commerce भन्छ क्या होइन? Everybody is going e-commerce होइन? अब I would not be surprised भोलिको दिनमा यदि मेरो घरको साइडको डेरी कम्पनीको पनि एउटा डेलिभरी गर्ने मान्छे छ नि, उसले आफ्नो वरिपरि कम्युनिटीमा चाहिँ डेलिभरी गरिदिरहेको छ होइन? सो भन्न खोजेको मोबिलिटी त हुनै भयो होइन? जति धेरै अनलाइन अर्डर बढ्नेवाला छ त्यति धेरै मोबिलिटीमा इन्भेस्टमेन्ट डेलिभरी हुनेवाला छ. सो गोगोरोको इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन चाहिँ आई थिङ्क अब यसो लजिकली सोच्दा त भ्याट बिल आइरहेको छ, प्लस यो कसले चोर्न मिलेन होइन यो स्कुटर. जस्तै अब
यो चोर्न मिलेन बिकज द डिसएडभान्टेज द्याट वी वर टकिङ अबाउट होइन कि अहिले त काठमाडौँभित्र मात्रै चलाउन मिल्यो. But if I was to spin that and say कि होइन, that could be an advantage because no one can take that scooter आज and go to Nepalganj. So चोरी हुन सक्दैन. And we can always support you as if you've bought a Gogoro scooter to help you track that scooter and tell you त्यो scooter कहाँ छ. So घरमा चार्ज गर्न मिल्दैन. So it's a theft proof scooter.
अनि कसले चोरी लग्यो भने पनि एउटा पोइन्ट अफ टाइममा चाहिँ ब्याट्री स्वाइप गर्न नमिल, वी क्यान लक द्याट आउट नि त होइन त्यो युजरलाई.
या सो इफ वी गेट अ नोटिफिकेसन कि मेरो समवन टेल्स अस सम कर्पोरेटले भन्छ कि यो मेरो स्कुटर चाहिँ चोरी भयो, देन वाट वी क्यान डु इज वी क्यान सी कि लास्ट स्वप कहाँ भएको छ, एन्ड द नेक्स्ट टाइम दे कम टु स्वप वी क्यान नो एक्ज्याक्टली यहाँ स्वप भएको छ, एन्ड वी क्यान अल्सो लक द्याट ब्याट्री इफ देयर इज अ भ्यालिड केस अफ चोरी भएको.
यसमा प्राइभेसीको कुरा कसरी आउँछ? जस्तै फर इक्जाम्पल डु यु अल्सो ट्र्याक म कहाँ गइरहेको छु, कुन म्यापदेखि कुन म्यापमा गइरहेको छु, कति घन्टा त्यहाँ बसेँ, त्यसो पनि थाहा हुन्छ?
त्यो थाहा हुँदैन हामीले. सो वी नो वेन यु स्वप, बट स्टेसन ए र स्टेसन बी को बिचमा वाट हेभ यु डन, विच रुट हेभ यु टेकन, द्याट वी डोन्ट नो.
म्हणजे हाउ क्यान यु ट्र्याक, मतलब स्कुटर चोरी भएर कुन ठाउँमा छ भने त्यो त गाह्रो छ.
So we don't know exactly where it is. We know when they come to swap.
ए हुन्छ हाम्रो swapping station चाहिँ हटस्पट जस्तो भयो क्या. That's where
yeah, that's when we interact with the customer. That's when the customer interacts with us also.
अनि त्यस्तो एउटा अब जस्तै फर इक्जाम्पल अन योर एन्ड यु हेभ टु किप अन इन्भेस्टिङ अन ब्याट्रिज होइन भन्छ, कुन पोइन्ट अफ टाइममा गएर त्यो अब मेबी द क्वेसन आइएम ट्राइङ टु आस्क यु इज प्रफिटेबिलिटीको कुरामा होइन, या मेबी ब्यालेन्स सिटमा त सधैँ उनी देखिने भयो होइन, एसेटमा इन्भेस्टमेन्ट गरेछ देखिने भयो. ट्रिकी पोजिसन टु बी इन होइन.
That is
this business model.
That is the scary part. That is the part where any, I think, network business, right? Telecom, they keep investing in hardware and infrastructure. ISP companies, the likes of WorldLink, they also have to keep investing. So it's a very similar khalko where we have to keep sort of stations, we have to keep building out with the stations. Every time I sell a scooter, I'm also investing in a battery. You know, so it becomes, it takes time. You know? So that's why I said कि यसमा long-term view पनि एउटा लिनुपर्छ. You cannot address this with a short-term म स्कुटर बेच्छु र पैसा कमाउँछु अथवा मेरो बिजनेस सस्टेनेबल हुन्छ भन्ने हुँदैन. You have to be patient for the long term isma. But that investment is the scary part. But the good thing is that I can keep providing the latest technology to the customers as well. Right? So like right now when you buy EV charging scooter, you have bought that scooter and that battery. So you have locked in and you're committed to that technology, which is today. But maybe 2 years later, there will be another battery which has some software upgrade, or maybe the range will be better, or maybe the charging time will be shorter, right? So we will keep updating that in our network. So 2 years later, when I need to expand my network and put more batteries into the system, I will put that new technology battery, that upgrade. So with that, in a way, your scooter also gets an upgrade through that battery, right? So it's an ongoing process.
I think last time हामी भेट्दाखेरि you also mentioned कि हामीले जस्तो फ्लिटहरू बनाएको छौँ जहाँ चाहिँ we rent it out per day को हिसाबमा. Tell me more about it.
So the way it started, was 1 year ago, we started with only 2 stations. We put one station in Lajimpat and one station in Tripureshwar. And that was our pilot. So we didn't sell scooters to Vela. We had some scooters, which the idea was we just rent it out till let's say market testing pani huncha, swapping ko experience feedback pani tha huncha, scooter ko performance ko pani idea lagcha. So we gave those scooters out to food mandu, ride sharing companies and asked them to just run it and use it. And are they liking it? Pilot testing jasto bhairako थियो. But as we started doing that, what we realized is there are a lot of people who are in Kathmandu who are either waiting to go abroad. So 3-4-6 महिनाको लागि they are waiting for visa आउनको लागि paperwork को कामहरू चलिरहेछ. And they want to be part of this gig economy. They want to do ride sharing अथवा they want to do food delivery को काम.
They want to make some extra money.
And they want to make that extra money, right? The option they very often, what they go for is, they go and buy a second-hand scooter and then use that scooter for the income generation. Then what we realized is, why don't we give our scooters to such people? And then we charge them like a daily or a weekly sort of rental amount, whereby that rental amount is enough to cover the cost of that scooter, depreciation, maintenance, and all of that. But by doing that, they can also earn money on a daily basis without having to worry about investing in a new scooter and without having to worry about त्यो स्कुटरको रिसेल भ्याल्यु कति आउँछ or मेरो भिजा भोलि लाग्यो, I can leave and go anytime, right? So we are trying to now develop that market and see how that goes as well. And the reason why we can do that is because of this anti-theft technology, right? Because I know that when I give a scooter on rent to someone, he cannot take it and run away with it. So that is we are exploring the segment.
Is that a completely new business model? Typical rent out?
Yeah, that's a new business model that exists over India. There are companies who are doing this.
So are you going to do that here? Are you going to do through some other agency in between?
So in this whole process, what we felt was we create sano fleet operators, right? So these are people that have probably an existing business, an SME. Ani waharuko lagi, this becomes orko additional passive source of income. So they buy and rent it out and manage this. So we right now have almost 10 to 15 fleet operators who are working in this model, and they see a lot of benefit. Waharuko income ekdam ramro generate bhairachha. And for this model to succeed, they need to make money and the riders need to make money, which is what we are seeing is happening.
What about accidents, repairs, maintenance? Yesto case ma chai?
So maintenance, what is not yours, right? त्यसको माया अलि कम हुन्छ नि. So we do see that अलिकति जस्तो chance of अब headlight टुट्ने डर अथवा scratch लाग्ने त्यो अलि higher छ यसमा. Plus they are running 100 kilometers a day, right? So the probability increases. But one very interesting thing that we have discovered over the last 1 year was I was speaking to someone also in the automobile industry. I was getting his views on swapping in Nepal. So one thing he mentioned is for swapping, you need a disciplined community, society. And because you're giving your battery to someone, अब त्यो के हुन्छ त्यो battery को will be determined by discipline. And this is where I think our realization that Nepal is an extremely disciplined country. Now, if you look at it, हाम्रो traffic disciplined, chaotic छ अलिकति. तर यहाँ honking को system छैन जस्तो हामी इन्डियामा हेर्छौँ.
Crazy.
How has that happened? Like the other day I was trying to trace it back to what happened, यहाँ हर्न हङ्किङको सिस्टम भएन एप्यारेन्टली
त्यो कति मलाई चाहिँ के याद छ भन्दा कतिपय ठाउँहरूमा चाहिँ पहिला त मिडियामा एकदमै डिस्ट्रिब्युटेड थियो यो हङ्किङ नगर्ने भनेर अनि कतिपय ठाउँमा चाहिँ एकदमै प्याम्पलेट्सहरू लेखिएको कन्सटेन्टली हुन्छ नो हङ्क नो हङ्क नो हङ्क एकदमै आई थिङ्क इट टुक कपल अफ इयर्स टु कम टु दिस स्टेज जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई
बट वाट इज भेरी इन्ट्रेस्टिङ इज त्यो सबै क्याम्पेन भएपछि पनि इट हेज स्टक अन विथ पिपल
हो
राइट नाउ एकदम नराम्रो जाममा फस्दाखेरि पनि पिपल हार्डली हङ्क ओभर यो राइट विच इज अ साइन अफ डिसिप्लिन आई वुड कल द सेकेन्ड थिङ इज हाम्रो ल इन्फोर्समेन्ट अथवा पुलिसको जुन डर हुन्छ नि मेबी इन द मिडल इस्ट जस्तो ठाउँमा त्यो पनि यहाँ धेरै छैन बट वेन यु लुक एट थेफ्ट अथवा चोरीको डर बर्गलरीको डर राति जुन एउटा अनसेफ इन्भाइरोमेन्ट कुनै कुनै सिटिजमा फिल हुन्छ त्यो पनि यहाँ छैन राइट सो नेपाल वाट वी हेभ डिस्कभर्ड इज अ भेरी भेरी डिसिप्लिन्ड कन्ट्री इन अ भेरी फनी वे होइन सो द्याट डिसिप्लिन वी आर सिइङ इन आर स्वापिङ एन्ड स्कुटर्स एज वेल वी अहिलेसम्म वी हेभ नट ह्याड अ केस अफ हाम्रो ब्याट्रीमा कुनै ट्याम्परिङ हुने अथवा स्वप स्टेसन्समा जस्तो त्यो कस्टमरले नै के गरिदिने त्यस्तो भएको छैन विच इज वाइ वी फिल रेन्टलमा पनि दे विल अलवेज बी 1% 2% cases where this thing happens, right? But I don't think त्यो disproportionately high हुन्छ, right? So I think that gives us a lot of comfort as well about हाम्रो why that discipline को factor can help us with our swapping को infrastructure.
सहीको यसको यो लङ टर्म भ्यू चाहिँ के हो अघि भन्यो तिमीले नै भन्यो कि यु क्यानट कम विथ अ भेरी सर्ट टर्म कि म अल्ल आयो स्कुटर बेचेँ पैसा कमाउँछु भनेर लङ टर्म हुनु पऱ्यो तर त्यो लङ टर्म भ्यूमा चाहिँ दिस इज नट जस्ट ओन्ली वान है यु हेभ अ डिफ्रेन्ट अदर भेन्चर यो बेटी टेक्नोलोजीमै होइन सो हाउ डज दिस थिङ्स कनेक्ट या तिम्रो मेबी वाट आइम ट्राइङ टु आस्क यु इज वाट्स द लङ टर्म भ्यू होइन यो एउटा बिजनेस त भयो तर अरू पनि केही लङ टर्म कनेक्टेड छ कि प्लान्सहरू भनेर
So I think focused around battery नै, right? Where battery is that fuel, होइन अहिले. So what we are also seeing, म अलिकति एकदम त्यो मेरो बानी अलिकति आई थिङ्क लिनियरली होइन इफ देयर इज प्रब्लम सल्युसनको क्लियर म्यापिङ हुनु पऱ्यो देन ओन्ली आई क्यान थिङ्क अदरवाइज म एकदम जम्बल अप हुन्छु. सो वान प्रब्लम द्याट आई सी इज अब जति पनि कमर्सियल भेहिकल्समा रुटमा चल्ने गाडीहरूमा जति पनि ब्याट्रिजहरू छ त्यो ब्याट्रिजहरू त झन् छिटो डिग्रेड हुन्छ बिकज दे आर रनिङ कति 200 किलो पोखरा गइरहेछ सेम डे फिर्ता पनि आइरहेछ
अनि हरेक दिन फास्ट चार्ज
गरिरहेछ. सो नर्मल ब्याट्री माइट लास्ट यु 5 years, these batteries might last you 2 years or 1.5 years, right? So what happens to those एउटा त त्यो ब्याट्रीमा प्रब्लम आएपछि त्यो गाडी नै बस्छ. द सेकेन्ड इज what happens when त्यो ब्याट्रीको लाइफ सक्यो. So we are working with a company called CATL, Chinaको CATL, which is the largest battery manufacturer in the world. So I think
I said BYD was the largest battery manufacturer.
So BYD को battery is for their own vehicles.
Okay.
CATL को batteries is for Tesla, Volkswagen, जति पनि अहिले हाम्रो रुटमा चलिरहेको गाडी. टाटा आई डोन्ट थिङ्क सो त्यो इन्डिया चाइनाको के त्यसले गर्दा मेबी देयर इज सम कम्प्लिकेसन बट अहिले हाम्रो रुटमा चलेको जति पनि माइक्रो बस मिनी भ्यानहरू छ
फोटोनहरू
दे आर अल सिएटिएलको ब्याट्रिज.
ओके.
सो what we do is we are their authorized partners in Nepal. So we do the repair, servicing, spare parts and all of that diagnostic ko kaamharu for those batteries. So if there's a problem in a commercial vehicle in that battery, then we go and solve it, hamro team le. The other thing as part of that is, again, same thing, it relates back to the Gogoro ko batteries lene, is what do you do with those batteries when it reaches the end of your life, right? So before we start thinking about recycling, there is this thing in between, right, which is that second life use. Second life use पछि then we think about recycling. Now whether recycling will happen in Nepal or not is a lot of policy dependency ko pani kuraharu cha. Or we end up maybe exporting that batteries back to South Korea, China or whatever, where they have recycling facilities to extract त्यसको cobalt, त्यसमा भएको lithiumहरू, and then repurpose that for another battery.
So
a good day is 16 to 18 hours at the office is a good day, हैन? त्यो 2 वर्ष म काम गरेँ and then I came back to Nepal त्यसपछि. So I need structure to operate. तर अफिस जाँदाखेरि structure नै हुँदैन.
Gogoro context ma gap छ, but then people have yet not accepted कि this is a gap, होइन? Gogoro is where you will make most of your return of investment when you compare your time into 3 things that you invest.
I think Gogoro is also the most risky out of the 3, होइन?
Hence, I need to give my more time.
That's why I think I need to give more time. The founder's strength becomes the organization's weakness. So when I moved back, होइन, 5 वर्ष जति भयो, एकदम नै फ्रस्ट्रेसन भएको थियो.
के कुराले फ्रस्ट्रेट बनाएको भन्दा? सो मैले के बुझेँ भन्दाखेरि अनुप, वी आर हेभिली इन्भेस्टेड इन रिपेयर एन्ड मेन्टेनेन्स पनि. सो वी नो वाट विल गो रङ इन ब्याट्रिज, वाट क्यान गो रङ इन ब्याट्रिज. सो आई थिङ्क that's the long term view. I don't know where it is connecting, होइन यसको यो.
Even I don't know. We are on that path. Principally, we believe EVs is the future. EVs ma the biggest component is battery. So what can we do with in the battery space is what we are looking at.
So from a selling and maintaining part, दुईटैमा foothold भयो भने you have a better first hand information of what goes wrong भन्ने पनि भयो नि त, हैन? नेपालको कन्टेक्स्टमा कि अझ जस्तै फर इक्जाम्पल अब सस्टेनेबिलिटी इज एभ्रिवेयर राइट नाउ, होइन? हुन्छ ग्रिन फाइनेन्स, ग्रिन इकोनोमी, ग्रिन एनर्जी. अब मलाई त कस्तो लाग्छ, मलाई कस्तो हुन पनि भइसक्यो होला कि अब कुन इनर्जीबाट बनेको प्रोडक्ट हो, लेट्स से एभ्रिथिङ निड्स एनर्जी टु, फ्याक्ट्री निड्स एनर्जी टु रन, होइन? सो अब चाहिँ ग्रिन एनर्जीबाट बनेको प्रोडक्ट हो भने चाहिँ द्याट बिकम्स मोर प्रिमियम हुन्छ नि, पुरा लेभल आउँछ होला. यदि कोल या नन रियुजेबलबाट या फ्युलबाट के अरे आएको इलेक्ट्रिसिटी छ भने त्यसले बनेको प्रोडक्टको डिफ्रेन्ट लेभलिङ हुन्छ होला, डिफ्रेन्ट प्राइजिङ हुन्छ होला. हाम्रो कन्टेक्स्टमा चाहिँ चल रियुजेबल, होइन? सो हाउ डु यु सी द्याट? यसलाई कसरी देख्छौ तिमीले?
जस्तो हाम्रो जेनेरेसन पनि ग्रिन छ भन्ने कुरा, होइन? I think that's a huge, just the EV code, there is a lot of people who challenge how sustainable or how environmentally friendly is EV, right? The main argument त्यसमा के हुन्छ कि electricity त coal power plant अथवा thermal power plant बाट generate भइरहेछ, so it's not clean भन्ने जुन argument छ. I think नेपालको केसमा हाइड्रो पावरबाट generate भइरहेछ, makes a huge difference. त्यसको further down the line, the impact I think it will have is just the carbon credits ma, right? So when you calculate carbon credits, there is a very clear methodology about त्यो carbon savings जुन भएको छ, what was the entire life cycle त्यो carbon savings हुनु जेलसम्म. Now let's talk like in the case of EVs, होइन? Now you have used an EV and not used a petrol, therefore the petrol बाट हुने जति emissions थियो is your savings, is your displacement, but then one step further calculation is त्यो energy आएको कहाँबाट, right? Now when you say that त्यो energy को source पनि clean छ, so then that savings becomes greater, right? So when Nepal, I think it's working on its carbon credit, carbon trading policies and stuff like that. When we start working on that policy and framework and that methodology to capture and calculate it, to quantify गर्दाखेरि, maybe 1 kilometer of scooter चलाएर जुन carbon savings हुन्छ, in the case of Nepal might be much higher than 1 kilometer of carbon savings that might be done in a country like India or Singapore, purely because our sources. So it has a much bigger scope for that carbon credit savings and that whole carbon market.
Like food mandu example लिइरहेको छौँ. एउटा point of time ले चाहिँ food mandu start delivering every food from Gogoro, होइन? भनेपछि the कार्बन फुटप्रिन्ट दे आर सेभिङ हुन्छ नि त कि दावामाको रेस्टुरेन्टबाट भैँसीबारी कुनै खाना आउँदाखेरि चाहिँ पेट्रोलमा आइरहेको छ भने कति र इलेक्ट्रिसिटीबाट आइरहेको छ भने कति त्यो फुटप्रिन्ट त क्रिएट भइरहेको छ नि त होइन सो त्यो पनि एक किसिमले त भोलि गएर B2Bलाई एउटा बिग एसेट हुन्छ कि त्यो कुनै पोइन्ट अफ टाइममा त इजिली अन्डरस्ट्यान्डेबल होला नि त यो कार्बन क्रेडिटको कुरा कसरी इच इन्डिभिजुअल हाउस होल्डदेखि नै त्यो क्लेम गर्न मिल्ने वाला कुरा इजी हुँदै गयो भने त आई थिङ्क
करेक्ट so right now itself what we have started doing is we have started creating a methodology to calculate it. So the methodology is
we भन्नाले
I mean internally.
Okay.
So what we have started doing is we track कति kilometers just on average दिनमा चलिरहेछ and then we have a way of calculating कि 1 kilometer ले कति carbon savings गर्यो, right? And then we if you say 1000 tons of CO2 savings भएपछि भएको छ भनेपछि no one really understands that what is 1000 tons of CO2, right? But when you convert that 1000 tons of CO2 is equivalent to planting 15,000 trees, then suddenly there is
relativity factor.
People relate to it and they know that there is impact. So even with our customers right now, we share with them that data. That because
एपमा आउँछ
so एपमा आउँछ and plus उहाँहरूसँग WhatsApp like monthly WhatsApp यताउता पनि we share with them that data. And very often I think customers see it and then they acknowledge it and forget about it. But somewhere in the back of their mind, they know that they're contributing to a better environment. And I think that makes a difference.
अनि कतिपय यो इन्भाइरोमेन्टली कन्सियस मान्छेहरूमा त अहिले आई थिङ्क इभन आई एम अ लट इन्भाइरोमेन्टली कन्सियस क्या कतिपय कुराहरूमा होइन तर मभन्दा धेरै मान्छेहरू कन्सियस भएको देख्छु होइन अनि वाइ त्यो तिमीमा त्यो प्याटर्न तिमीमा कतै थियो र यु केम इन्टु दिस बिजनेस कि होइन आई समथिङ केही न केही चाहिँ इन्भाइरोमेन्टली कन्सियस चाहिँ गर्नुपर्छ भनेर बिकज यु ह्याड अदर अप्सन्स पनि नि त होइन
So I think एक दुईटा reason I think what I can think of immediately. One is I think my bua played a big role in this. So त्यो जुन green को जुन त्यो किरा हुन्छ नि climate related किरा I think त्यो चाहिँ उहाँबाट मलाई आएको हो खासमा. उहाँको interest was more on how do you climate financing नेपालमा how can we do hydro powerलाई कसरी सपोर्ट गरौँ सफा टेम्पोलाई कसरी प्रमोट गरौँ भन्ने थियो. मेरो चाहिँ then became more on the utilization side of the thing कि these are the things I'm seeing. Generationमा त people have done a lot of work, are doing a lot of work, but what is happening in the two-wheeler utilization space? So that's how I ended up here. The second, I think, also a big part of it was the school. म जुन स्कुलमा गएको थिएँ it was a boarding school. त्यो बोर्डिङ स्कुलको जुन एउटा एम्फोसिस थियो वाज द हाम्रो धेरैवटा क्लास पनि क्लासरुमभित्र नभएर रुखको मुनि हुन्थ्यो.
कुन स्कुल हो बाइ द वे?
यो चाहिँ ऋषि भ्याली स्कुल भन्ने हो. इट्स नियर बेङ्गलोर बोर्डिङ स्कुल. म 4 देखि 12 सम्म त्यही नै थिएँ. अब त्यो स्कुलको फिलोसफी वाज अ स्टुडेन्ट मस्ट बी भेरी क्लोज टु नेचर. So नेचरसँग क्लोज भएपछि यु अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड अ लट अफ थिङ्स अबाउट वाट इज इम्पोर्टेन्ट वाट इज लाइफ होइन एन्ड अल अफ द्याट. सो आई थिङ्क त्यहाँबाट पनि इन्भाइरोमेन्टलाई प्रोटेक्ट गर्नुपर्छ द इम्पोर्टेन्स अफ इन्भाइरोमेन्टको एउटा त्यो फिलिङ आएको आई थिङ्क.
नाइस.
सो कम्बिनेसन अफ
यु डिड यो ग्रेजुएसन फ्रम युएस होइन?
युकेबाट.
And then I think financial sector may you invested good amount of how long did you?
So म चाहिँ I'm a student of economics नै हो. Economics but in finance मा पनि म त्यो कोर्सेसहरू फाइनेन्समा पनि थियो. त्यसपछि म मास्टर्स सकेपछि म 2 वर्ष चाहिँ HSBC ब्याङ्क लन्डनमा म चाहिँ इन्भेस्टमेन्ट ब्याङ्किङ गरेँ. सो त्यो चाहिँ अब इट्स हार्डकोर फाइनेन्स विथ लङ आवर्स एकदम इन्टेन्स काम गर्ने तरिका वेयर युआर डुइङ अन एभरेज अ गुड डे 16 to 18 hours एट द अफिस इज अ गुड डे होइन. सो त्यो 2 वर्ष म काम गरेँ and then I came back to Nepal त्यसपछि.
अनि त्यो क्ल्यारिटी थियो नेपाल यो पोइन्ट अफ टाइममा यो समयमा यो यतिको वर्ष हुँदाखेरि चाहिँ नेपाल फर्केर आई हेभ टु स्टार्ट समथिङ भन्ने क्ल्यारिटी थियो कि इट केम आउट अफ
So I think त्यो clarity चाहिँ it was clear that I want to come back to Nepal. The timeline was also कि 2 वर्ष अथवा 3 वर्ष काम गरेर I'll come back to Nepal. But exactly what will be the trigger I was not sure.
What was the trigger?
So the trigger was in fact UK ma you get a passport after 5 years of working. And I had just finished मेरो त्यो 2 years को त्यो ब्याङ्कमा and त्यो 2 years को program हुन्छ. And then after that you transition to the next level within the bank. So just the 2 years सकिन when it was just getting over, the trigger was that if I stay for 1 more year, then getting a passport in the UK will be closer than where I started. So then that decision will become much harder to go back. And plus this is a time when like मेरो job को nature पनि within the same organization was changing slightly. So then I was like, if I don't do it now, there's a chance I might never do it. It's just one of those things. You get into that loop. So even though the intention was always that I want to come back to Nepal, it was like अब गरिहाल्नु पर्छ नत्र त you never know where life takes you and you get stuck somewhere and then it doesn't happen.
Nice. You have initiated one more project, right? How do you say it? Blackbox.
Blackbox records management.
Blackbox records management. त्यो भनेको चाहिँ के हो?
So the idea of Blackbox is so म चाहिँ त्यो HSBC मा काम गर्दाखेरि what I realized was that banks मा भएको जति पनि documents त्यो एउटा carton box मा we used to like keep it in that box. त्यसमा चाहिँ we used to put a lid and every morning there used to be a truck that used to take those boxes. So I don't know, a lot of movies हरूमा you might see that when someone gets fired उनीहरू यस्तो एउटा कार्टन बक्समा डेस्कमा भएको सबै सामान राखेर बाहिर दौडिन्छ. सो त्यही कार्टन हो खासमा where the documents are stored. So when I came back to Nepal, we were looking at logistics मा warehousing मा अहिले धेरै काम हुन बाँकी छ. So while we talk about hard infrastructure, roads, bridges, flyovers and stuff, there's a lot of soft infrastructure मा पनि काम हुन बाँकी छ. So soft infrastructure is your warehousing, your logistics and everything else that supports the economy to move. So soft infrastructure मा the thing that stood out to us was warehousing. अब warehousing के को गर्ने भन्दाखेरि we felt like we were looking at hardware को सामान राख्ने, कपडा राख्ने, there can be a lot of general goods warehousing or you can do cold storage or whatever. गर्दा गर्दा के क्लिक भयो कि warehousing त documents को पनि हुन्छ भन्ने, physical documents को पनि हुन्छ भन्ने, it clicked, which I had seen over there. And then यहाँ चाहिँ अब then we went around and spoke to banks हरू कि how are you managing your documents? And the common sort of answer we got was, we're not managing it well. And then when we visited the stores, a lot of the documents चाहिँ bank को branch भित्र एउटा store मा थियो, where there were 1 or 2 people who knew exactly कुन document चाहिँ कहाँ छ. But if they were on leave or if they had left the company, no one knows where that document is. And the intention is सबैले आफ्नो store चाहिँ starting मा एकदम मजाले organize गरेर बनाउँछ. But then as the volume of documents increases, त्यो चाहिँ बोरामा जान्छ, कोही चाहिँ भुइँमा जान्छ, कोही चाहिँ त्यो सेतो कपडामा बाँधेर फ्याल्दिन्छ. But you have to keep these documents for 5, 7, 10, 20 years, some even permanent. त्यो त requirement नै हो. So then we were like, something that has happened everywhere in the world, including our neighboring countries of India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Sri Lanka मा भएको, नेपालमा अहिलेसम्म त्यो outsourcing of your documents for better management को concept छैन भनेर we started Blackbox. So this also then became कि we cannot, it's a business of एकदम नै trust, होइन? It's someone's giving you documents. So then we were like, we cannot compromise on standard or safety or security. So बाहिरको जे standards छ त्यही standardsलाई we have taken that and built our warehouse and we provide that service. So you start भएको, it's almost 3 years now. So त्यसमा चाहिँ we have most of the commercial banks, insurance companies, private organizations, some government as well as our clients अहिले.
मलाई कस्तो लाग्थ्यो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ अब त फ्युचर इज अफ डेटा सेन्टर, डिजिटाइजिङ एभ्रिथिङ, स्क्यानिङ एभ्रिथिङ एन्ड मेकिङ डिजिटल कपी अफ इट हुन्छ नि, किपिङ अ ब्याकअप अन मल्टिपल डेटा सेन्टर्सहरू. तर यो सुन्दाखेरि चाहिँ आर वी गोइङ ब्याकवर्ड्स
against the trend?
Maybe it comes from my limited knowledge of my own bubble of limited knowledge होइन. तर यो चाहिँ अब तिम्रो पर्सपेक्टिभबाट संसार जति डिजिटाइज भए पनि, जति एआई, जति डेटा सेन्टर भए पनि फिजिकल डकुमेन्ट्सहरू चाहिँ विल निड टु बी स्टोर्ड इन दिस वे भन्ने हो.
I think you're right, होइन? We are moving towards digitization, paperless को कन्सेप्ट छ नि अहिले नै. आई थिङ्क इफ यु लुक एट इट, हाम्रो कतिवटा कुरा त लाइक पेमेन्ट्स, अर्लियर चेक वाज द ओन्ली अप्सन. नाउ वी डु अनलाइन पेमेन्ट्स, कनेक्ट आइपिएस, कर्पोरेट्सले पनि कर्पोरेट पे युज गरेर. सो अभियसली देयर इज गोइङ टु बी अ डिक्लाइन इन नम्बर अफ डकुमेन्ट्स हुन्छ. But having said that, right, at what pace? Because your economy is also growing. So number of people who are entering the formal banking channels, that is also increasing, right? So at one end, you have maybe paper per person generated is maybe reducing, but number of people is also increasing. So maybe that is counterbalancing alikati bhaira hola, right? So given that, I think there is still some time till that happens. हामी अहिले पनि when we go for any just official कामहरू, legal documents मा त we still हाम्रो थम्बाट नै काम चल्छ, right? So I think there is some time, and what we did was before starting this project, we looked at बाहिर के भइरहेछ, right? So we looked at the UK and a few of these countries. त्यहाँ चाहिँ पेपरको डकुमेन्ट, पेपरको भोल्युम घट्न चाहिँ घट्या छैन. इट इज अलमोस्ट रिमेन स्ट्याग्नेन्ट.
म्हणजे बढ्न बढाएन,
धेरै बढ्न पनि बढ्या छैन. इट्स रिमेन मोस्टली स्ट्याग्नेन्ट बिकज कम्प्लायन्स पनि बढ्या छ. आफ्टर द फाइनेन्सियल क्राइसिस द निड फर ह्याभिङ फिजिकल डकुमेन्ट्स, सिग्नेचर्स, त्यो पनि बढ्या छ. सो मेबी बिकज अफ द्याट अलिकति पेपरको रिक्वायरमेन्ट बढ्या छ. बट वाट हेज ह्यापन एट द सेम टाइम इज डेटा सेन्टर्स डिजिटाइजेसनको काम, पेपरको नि डिजिटाइजेसनको काम चाहिँ has increased a lot. So even when we look at our life cycle and our journey, or if you look at a paper ko life cycle, it gets created, it gets used, it's live, then it becomes a closed file, right? So we also will physical pani गर्ने, अनि the next step for us is digital pani.
Go data center नै.
Data center नै.
So it's like you're paving the path towards data center हो.
Sort of. I think the first step is हाम्रो फिजिकल इन्भेन्ट्रीको त स्टक पहिला लिनु पऱ्यो होइन. देन वी डिसाइड ल यो डकुमेन्ट चाहिँ म फिजिकल फर्ममा राख्छु, यो डकुमेन्ट चाहिँ म डिस्ट्रोय गर्छु, यो डकुमेन्ट चाहिँ म फिजिकल एन्ड डिजिटलमा राख्छु, र यो डकुमेन्ट म मात्रै डिजिटल राख्छु.
मैले क्वेसन सोधेको किनभने भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ विथ गोगोरो एन्ड द ब्याट्री मेन्टेनेन्स सर्भिसेस होइन, मेबी युआर थिङ्किङ फर 50 years होइन, एन्ड द रेभेन्यू इज ग्रोइङ लाइक क्रेजी. अघि नै भन्यो, 3% अफ two-wheelers are electric, so maybe there is a huge chance. So the same guy, the same mindset is यतापट्टि सोच्दाखेरि चाहिँ यदि स्ट्याग्नेन्ट भइरहेको छ र त्यसको स्केल भइरहेको छैन, ग्रो भइरहेको छ तर म्यासिभली ग्रो भइरहेन भन्ने फ्याक्टमा चाहिँ कसरी, हाउ डिड यु ह्याड अ, मतलब त्यो ल हाउ क्यान द सेम पर्सन थिङ्क इन अ 2 different वे भन्ने हिसाबमा चाहिँ मैले सोधेँ हो.
द्याट्स एन इन्ट्रेस्टिङ पर्सपेक्टिभ होइन.
But then maybe you saw an opportunity, you tapped into it to financially make sense गऱ्यो भने त्यही त हो नि होइन, business, it has to make financially sense.
Yeah, I think there was a gap होइन. That gap ले नै again problem solution को mapping चाहिँ देखियो एउटा. And I don't think it's just limited to physical documents. Physical documents is where we have started. This my data centers is next part. There can be just a RPA, so
आरपी भनेको
RPA is like a robotics process automation,
Okay.
right? So a lot of banks now, बाहिरतिर चाहिँ, the concept is I will only focus on my core business. Everything that is not core to me is outsourced, right? So backend मा अब त्यो जति पनि KYC form related admin कामहरू, either it's been outsourced to, let's say, labor अलिकति सस्तो भएको countryमा, or you have now robots doing that. So that is we can also then start looking at a lot of back office functions of the banks as part of this, right? Because maybe we have built that trust, we understand the processes, the systems and stuff, to do that sort of back end work for them, and that digitization, and then everything that follows after that.
तिम्रो एउटा आइडियल डेमा चाहिँ हाउ डु यु प्रायोरिटाइज दिस 3 बिजनेस द्याट यु आर इन? कसले कति टाइम लिन्छ, कसले कति टाइम लिन्छ, कसले कति टाइम लिन्छ?
It's a lot of म चाहिँ every morning I'm like, ल, this is my day, I'm going to structure it 3 घन्टा यसरी 2 घन्टा यसरी भनेर, but then I go in and it's a lot of just firefighting. So one thing I'm really trying to do is be more time management ma.
Because you are a linear guy, no? You think in a linear terms.
So I need structure to operate. तर office जाँदाखेरि structure नै हुँदैन.
So एउटै physical space बाट you look after all 3 businesses?
Yeah, अहिले we are in the same office. At some point space को constraint आउँछ, and then we might have to think about sort of different offices, but right now it's in the same space. But I think right now, if I have to say, I think a lot of my time is Gogoro, because it's like a very early stage, man. And Gogoro has a lot of different aspects to it also,
Challenging पनि Gogoro हो.
Challenging.
Because त्यसमा चाहिँ उ होला कि अरूमा चाहिँ I think gap छ र people have already accepted कि gap छ भनेर. Gogoro context मा gap छ, but then people have yet not accepted कि this is a gap, होइन?
Yeah, that plus I think Gogoro ma, the difference is just Blackbox ma, I am interacting with a very limited niche set of like bank ko admin departments I'm interacting, right? And it's maybe there is more time, and that concept like buzauna or spending time and building that relationship, there is a better space over there. With two-wheelers, I think everyone is aware and everyone has an opinion. So it's much harder than to reach out to different people to explain your concept and stuff like that. And marketing component is also very different in these two, because Gogoro is very outward facing public. Blackbox is more B2B चुप्प लागेर काम गर्ने खालको छ, right? And there isn't too much marketing that you need to do in terms of Facebook, Instagram and stuff like that. So two very just the different demands. And in a given day as well, even I struggle sometimes. I have to go from a very just a like a creative marketing mindset to a very process driven system mindset. Blackbox mindset.
And I think Gogoro the least delicatable होला के है, because there are few things that you have to do it by yourself. Think about new ideas, innovation, त्यो networking यताउता चाहिँ maybe you can't delegate to someone else.
There's a lot of to के भन्छ नि, like brainstorming, creating new structures, promotions, branding and stuff, right? Which you need to spend time on, and you cannot like outsource it or expect someone else to do it. So that takes a lot of time and effort, and you need to consciously take out time to do that as well.
Revenue wise, do you think Gogoro is where you will make most of your return of investment when you compare your time into 3 things that you invest?
I think Gogoro is also the most risky out of the 3.
Hence, I need to give my own more time.
That's why I think I need to give more time. It is definitely the most challenging as well. But I think the size of the market is also bigger. So the opportunity is bigger, right? Now it's about how well we execute and stuff like that. One thing that I read recently, right, then I just recalled that the founder's strength becomes the organization's weakness.
Okay, interesting.
Is a quote that Austin
Tell me more
I
about
read,
it.
So they didn't explain why.
Hey, okay.
They just quote there. So then I was thinking about it. So I think there may be two reasons, right? Where one is, let's say, I am a finance person. Finance becomes important to me, right?
Very risk averse, I know.
Or let's say I focus on finance, that I maybe give less time to
Innovation, yeah.
to marketing or to after sales service or something like that, right? So that is one. The second thing is maybe because I am a finance person, that finance ko jun kaam cha office ma, I don't have a team or I don't hire for that role because I think I'm going to do that role. But maybe I'm not the best person to do that role, either because there are better people to do that role or because I am so divided with so many other responsibilities that it doesn't get the due time
or attention
that it requires.
Interesting. So repeat the quote again.
So the founder's strength becomes the organization's weakness. So maybe at which stage of the organization that happens and when do you have to start solving for that, I'm still not sure, but it made me think of, I'm consciously trying to understand.
I'm trying to reflect on my business.
And I think कुनै industry ma त्यो बढी हुन्छ होला. Like let's say if you are in the marketing space and you are the one who has started a marketing agency and you are the creative person and everything, right? Then is there a risk that when you are not available for all your clients, then does your client satisfaction get impacted?
100%. I can relate to that. Ekdam.
Maybe, right?
Ekdam.
It really resonated, the quote.
So coming back to you coming back to Nepal and then starting something new, you had other options. I think your family runs other businesses. So कुन point of time मा चाहिँ हैन म आफ्नै गर्छु, सुरुदेखि गर्छु, स्क्रैचबाट नयाँ बिल्ड गर्छु, I will not join you guys, हैन, please figure out a way how you can हुन्छ. So त्यो चाहिँ कस्तो भयो? अनि I think यो चाहिँ this is easier said and difficult to follow that path in a business family, हैन, जहाँ चाहिँ people have a certain expectation कि the new generation will take care of this and that and this भन्ने हुन्छ होला. So तिम्रो केसमा चाहिँ कस्तो रह्यो? अनि I think these are the things that नेपालको कन्टेक्स्टमा खासै कुरा गरिएको छैन जस्तो लाग्छ कि मलाई, किन भन्दाखेरि बिजनेस फ्यामिलीबाट आएको नयाँ जेनेरेसनलाई चाहिँ सजिलो त छ, सबै कुरा सजिलो छ भन्ने पर्सपेक्टिभबाट मात्र हुन्छ. सो आई वान्ट टु टेक अ मोमेन्ट टु टक अबाउट दिस यो डाइनामिक्स.
That's it's a challenging question, plus I think the decision to do that as well. So I think like what happens is growing up, right? The expectations to एउटा हुन्छ नि कि यो केटा चाहिँ आएर यसरी लाग्छ हैन
यो बिजनेसमा यो पोजिसनमा.
And people have their own sort of expectations. Maybe they've seen me and they're like, okay, ऊ चाहिँ सेल्समा he might be good, or maybe ऊ चाहिँ अकाउन्ट्समा उसले गर्ने भनेर. But I think in my case what really worked was my family was very supportive. They were open to the idea of me exploring my own things, right? The second thing is also हाम्रो existing काममा, right? If you look at it purely from a value addition perspective, the question was, if I join my existing work, maybe I do create value, but how much value can I create, right? Versus if I do something that is different, then the opportunity to create value and impact is probably much greater. And in this, I think अलिकति passion को जुन कुरा हुन्छ नि त्यसमा पनि म conflicted छु, right?
Okay.
I like to believe that my family business was something I was not passionate about, but what I'm doing now I'm more passionate about, and therefore I started doing this. But maybe I think now passion, I've realized, is more like an output than an input. So you do something and then you become passionate about it. So the way I was thinking about it recently, most school I played cricket a lot. And the reason I played cricket, I probably didn't start playing cricket because I was passionate about cricket. I played cricket. I realized maybe I was decent at it. Now, when you're good at it slightly, then you start thinking, oh, you're passionate about it. And then you say, ki lo ma ta cricketer nahi bhanchu, thulo bhaera, right? So maybe somewhere at work also, you start doing something and then you realize that you enjoy it. Right? So maybe I feel like sometimes if I went into my family business, maybe I would have become passionate about that. But I don't know about the other side of the coin. I don't know.
Because you can only do one thing at a time.
You can only do one thing.
Parallel universe.
The parallel universe. But having said that, I think what that allowed me to do, right, is to explore. Having that sort of the family business and that sort of backup from my family is to explore and to try new things and really work on things that I feel like creates some sort of impact or solves some sort of problems or sort of improves an existing process or whatever.
What sort of hidden it could be emotional challenges, it could be psychological challenges हुन्छ नि, because हरेक कुराको pros and cons हुन्छ भने जस्तै हुन्छ नि. Coming from a privileged family might give you a jump start on a lot of things, होइन? But then obviously everything has its pros and cons. So what sort of psychological, emotional or other sort of challenges that you went through that people who come from a business family goes through हुन्छ नि, that त्यो चाहिँ खासै कुरा हुँदैन बाहिर, खासै त्यसको बारेमा कसले कुरा गरिराखेन, हैन? Are you getting my question?
Oh, well, I understand. I think it's like if I was to define that, to understand it better, it's basically that everyone has a different starting point, right? And when everyone has a different starting point, everyone has their own set of challenges and opportunities, right? But unlike a 100-meter race, you don't know where the finish line is or what the end goal is, right? So even though someone might have a starting line that is slightly further ahead than someone else's, maybe his finish line is also further ahead or with a different sort of path or journey, right? So yes, having a starting line at a certain place, maybe you had access to certain kind of education, to people, to opportunities and stuff like that, right? But I think at one point, then it becomes about what you do with it, right? And then how you use that to create impact and everything. Because after that, you still need to execute, you still need to persevere, you still need to solve the daily problems to move ahead and to get forward, right? So that exists. I think being in my personal situation, I think it's that unsaid expectation of and it's not maybe from your immediate family, it's maybe from everyone else around you,
community,
or your
society,
your extended family, that okay, next generation ko आउँछ अनि यस्तो काम गर्छ, right? So I think it's managing those expectations. And also you have this thing that you need to meet a certain level of performance, or you need to deliver at a certain level, because then it becomes the generation above you has done it. Like there's a very famous quote that says that the first generation builds, the second generation strengthens, the third generation डुबाउने काम गर्छ, something like that. So
they just saying all the generational wealth last only till third generation.
Third generation को कर्स के भन्छ हैन. So
yeah.
So I think that like you are always benchmarked against the generation above you, right?
The cost of failing is very high.
The cost of failure is high, right? The shoes you need to fill is sometimes quite big. But if you, I think it's about, and creating that identity also becomes, I think, quite challenging because you're always under that shadow sometimes. Now, that is a privilege and a challenge, right? It can be viewed in both ways, I think. But I think in my case, I've been very fortunate. My family's been very supportive. Bua, Hajur Bua. They've always believed. So it is scary. But they've been very supportive, which has, I think, allowed me to take these risks and stuff like that. And their mentorship has, I think, been the biggest privilege. Right, their experience, their sort of knowledge sharing, their guidance, that has really helped me in this journey.
So अलिकति जेनरल कुरा हेर्न मन लाग्यो मलाई तिमीसँग होइन. इन जेनरल नेपालको कन्टेक्स्टमा अब लट अफ पिपल आर लिभिङ आउटसाइड, लिभिङ नेपाल होइन. कतिपय कन्टेक्स्टमा त मलाई कस्तो लाग्छ भन्दाखेरि पिपल आर नट गोइङ अब्रड, दे आर लिभिङ नेपाल होइन. त्यो एउटा मेरो सर्कलको भाइहरूको प्लानहरू सोद्धाखेरि पहिला युएस अप्लाई गर्ने, त्यहाँ भएन भने अस्ट्रेलिया अप्लाई गर्ने, त्यहाँ भएन भने युरोपतिर सोच्ने, कहीँ न कहीँ त होला नि त भन्ने कन्टेक्स्टमा चाहिँ हुन्छ नि. किन भन्दा फिर गोइङ अब्रड त्यो एउटा नयाँ डेस्टिनेसनमा एउटा प्लान होला, यो ठाउँमा पढ्छु, यो युनिभर्सिटीमा जान्छु, यो अल्मुनाई नेटवर्क ट्याप इन गर्छु, अनि यहाँ हुन्छु होइन, यहाँ पुग्छु वाला कन्टेक्स्टमा चाहिँ जहाँ पाए पनि जान्छु, जस्ट नेपाल बस्दैन वाला भन्ने नेरेटिभमा चाहिँ पिपल आर नट गोइङ अब्रड, पिपल आर रनिङ अवे फ्रम नेपाल अनि होइन, त्यस्तो फिलिङ्स लाग्छ मलाई. अनि आई माइट बी रङ, आई वुड लभ टु बी रङ होइन. तिम्रो जेनरल टेक चाहिँ के छ नेपालको यो सिचुएसनप्रति होइन? अब स्ट्रेन्ज सिचुएसन छ जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई अहिले होइन. जस्तै फर इक्जाम्पल लट अफ पिपल आई मिट अन्टरप्रेन्योरियल सर्कलमा पनि च्यालेन्जिङ छ या टाइम हेर, अलिकति स्ट्याग्नेसन जस्तो छ. इधै तल पुरा खसिहालेको पनि छैन, इट्स नट इभन गोइङ अप, कस्तो एकदमै भेग टाइम छ भन्ने टाइपको नेरेटिभ फिल गर्छु. जेनेरेसन हेभ लस होप टुवर्ड्स नेपाल हुन्छ नि टु सम एक्सटेन्ट कि नेपाल इज अ फेल स्टेट, नेपालमा केही गर्नु हुँदैन. देन अघि भने जस्तै युथमा चाहिँ एउटा फुमो छ कि ल +2 सुन्नासाथ विदेश जानु पर्छ भन्ने हुन्छ. सो कस्तो एउटा मा त अब एकदम इट्स अ भेरी आर्टिफिसियली क्रिएटेड टक्सिसिटी जस्तो लाग्छ नेपालप्रति होइन. अनि त्यो the positive is too deep के त्यो लेयर एकदम too deep. So maybe that is one space that we want to scratch Doers part कि we want to put a spotlight to people who are actually doing things. So तिम्रो general take चाहिँ के छ
about Nepal?
About Nepal, about things that is happening right now हुन्छ नि, the scene, the youth, the mindset होइन, the opportunity, the challenges, एकदमै general, एकदम मैले भेग क्वेसन सोधेँ मैले. You don't really have to give one एउटा डिरेक्सनमा एन्सर खोजे होइन.
हजुर. So when I moved back होइन 5 वर्ष जति भयो, एकदम नै फ्रस्ट्रेसन भएको थियो.
के कुराले फ्रस्ट्रेट बनाएको भन्दा
The one thing that I was quite surprised होइन is everyone complains about नेपालमा काम चाहिँ स्लो हुन्छ, राइट? सो इन द्याट कन्टेक्स्ट नै कुनै पनि अर्गनाइजेसन अथवा काम गर्नेको कल्चरमा स्पिडको एम्फेसिस छैन, राइट? विच इज त्यो इन्भेस्टमेन्ट ब्याङ्किङको जुन 2 वर्षमा हार्डकोर काम गरेँ, it was all about speed. A lot of it was about speed, right? Why were you working rati 2 bajesamma? Because you need to deliver that the next morning. You need to deliver that the next morning is because त्यति throughput आउनु पर्यो every day, right? So speed was very important over there. And then here you came here and then you realized that जुन काम चाहिँ 1 दिनमा हुनुपर्ने हो त्यो 1 हप्तामा भइरहेछ. And what surprised me even more is in a country, this is एकदम financially कुरा गर्दाखेरि, in a country where interest rates are so high, shouldn't speed matter more?
एकदम.
Because interest is a cost on time. Right? So you should be working much faster to reduce that interest cost. Right? But what I realized was the trade-off was maybe that you had a better balance, right? Work-life balance. When I was doing 2 वर्ष उता, I had no social life. my health had deteriorated. Saturday, Sundays पनि काम गरिरहेको थिएँ. It was just work. Here, I feel like it's a very good balance. 5-6 बजेपछि most people offices end, and you are generally just free to meet people, घरको काम यताउता गर्नको लागि. So I feel like the work-life balance in Nepal is amazing, which is often seen as a negative, कि काम हुँदैन भनेर. But काम slow भएर you get to enjoy the other parts of life so much more. Like I have some friends in India, उनीहरूले त फुर्सदै हुँदैन. ट्राफिकमा 1.5 घन्टा बस्छ एभ्री डे, घर आउँछ राति 9-10 बजे, and then they sleep. They don't
same thing.
So this is not in terms of career or whatever, but just in terms of your quality of life. I think in Nepal is actually very good, right? If you look at like your weather and everything else, it's amazing. But in terms of opportunity in Nepal, right now, if you can 8 hours, 9 hours is still work, right? Now what is happening in those 8-9 hours? Now the standards, just the facts are, Nepal is a young country. ChatGPT ko second highest adoption here. Mobile penetration is more than the number of people, and all those positive things exist. But one of my friends described Nepal, which is US part, he described Nepal as a startup country. If amongst all the countries there were startups, Nepal would be one of them. What that I think he meant was that there is an opportunity to really grow and shape the future while you are here, right? So I could have never done Blackbox in any other country in the world because it's already happened. But what I can do is look at the other countries, learn from them, and implement that in Nepal. And while doing that, I think the biggest advantage is you can skip some of the mistakes or technology adoption that some countries have done and adopt that in Nepal. So, for example, I think there's some Africa country. The Africa country 3G मा थियो, टेलिकममा 3G मा थियो. त्यो country चाहिँ by the time 3G मा त्यो बिस्तारै implementation गर्दा 4G आइदियो. But they were not quick enough to respond to 4G. But then अब 4G बाट त 5G आइदियो, right? So they skipped that whole 4G को wave and went straight from 3G to 5G. So sometimes being slow means you end up going to a place without going through that process and learning from other people's experience as well. So I am the long optimistic of Nepal. It's about now what learnings, what examples you take globally and do this.
You make me remember a quote. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Interesting.
So what about the mindset of you? Just for example, to keep यदि entrepreneurial ecosystem लाई अझै stronger बनाउने हो भने, if we want more startups, हैन, मेरो एउटा example दिन चाहे, म मुभी हेर्न गइरहेको थिएँ अनि ड्याडलाई लिएर अनि गाडी पार्क गरेँ अनि माथि फर्स्ट फ्लोरमा आएर लिफ्ट दबाएँ हैन, लिफ्ट चलेन हैन. आई आस्क्ड समबडी के भन्दा दाइ बत्ती गएको छ हिँडेर जानुपर्छ भनेर. कुन फ्लोरमा? फर द फर्स्ट टाइम त्यो रेगुलर गइरहेको ठाउँ तर आई नेभर न्यू कि कुन फ्लोरमा हो हैन, याद छैन भनौँ न. कुन 8th फ्लोर हो कि, ओ माई गड हैन. अब 8th फ्लोरमा हिँड्न पर्यो. अब माई ड्याड इज अलमोस्ट 70 हैन, अनि he was having a tough time. तर हामी गयौँ माथि नि त्यो 8 तल्ला चढ्दासम्म चाहिँ मलाई चाहिँ कस्तो रिफ्लेक्सन भयो भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ obviously because we could afford watching a movie एउटा नाइस थिएटरमा इन अ नाइस मल, वी आर हियर नि त हैन. आइम पेइङ एक्स्ट्रा पैसा मेबी बिकज त्यहाँ पार्किङको सुविधा छ होला, त्यहाँको लिफ्टको सुविधा छ होला. सो त्यो सुविधाको लागि मैले अफोर्ड गर्न सक्छु र म यहाँ छु हैन. माई ड्याड क्यान अफोर्ड, द्याट्स वाइ हि इज हियर. तर त्यो अफोर्ड गर्दै गर्दा पनि आई थिङ्क अब इलेक्सन नभएर हामी हिँडिरहेको छौँ. सो आई डिसाइडेड टु बिल्ड थिङ्स हियर इन नेपाल हैन. अनि so I will be investing a lot of rest of my life in Nepal. And by the time I'm 60, 70, obviously यदि म मेहनत गरेँ, काम गरेँ, if I stay genuine to my to what I do, I'll be making money, I'll be allocating धेरै थोरै एसेटहरू हैन, मसँग डिस्पोजेबल इन्कम हुन्छ होला. I can spend to प्रोक्योर सर्भिसेस र प्रोडक्टहरू होइन तर त्यो पोइन्ट अफ टाइममा भने आइम 60-70 यति दे आर नट इनफ अन्टरप्रिनर्स कमिङ अप विथ इनोभेटिभ प्रोडक्ट एन्ड सर्भिसेस मैले के किन्ने त होइन आजको दिनमा त त्यो इलेक्ट्रिसिटीले मलाई त्यहाँसम्म पुगायो कि होइन भनेपछि त म मात्र नेपालमा बसेर म मात्र प्रगति गरेर त हुँदैन रहेछ इफ आई वान्ट अ क्वालिटी लाइफ there need to be good hospitals, so there should be entrepreneurs opening up with innovative hospitals, with coming up with innovative products होइन और बुझ्यो नि मैले भन्न खोजेको इन जेनरल मैले कन्ज्युम गर्ने प्रडक्ट र सर्भिसेस त हुनु पऱ्यो नि त अपडेटेड रूपमा नयाँ टेक्नोलोजी नयाँ एन्ड त्यो त नयाँ जेनेरेसनले लिएर आउने हो त्यो त अन्टरप्रिनर माइन्डसेट भएको मान्छेले लिएर आउने हो इनर्जी भएको मान्छेले लिएर आउने हो होइन अनि देयर इज अ 80-20 फर्मुला छ कि 80% अफ द रेभेन्यू इज ब्रट बाई 20% अफ द थिङ्स यु डु इन अ कम्पनी 80% अफ द productivity is brought by 20% of the people who work. And so if we don't capture this 20% of the population, so
then what happens?
So what happens when I'm 60-70 and I might have money in my bank, but I'll not be able to.
And it's like a spiraling, so because the people who want to do that as well, who want to develop an innovative product or create a interesting business, their question will be who do I sell to? There won't be enough people to sell to as well.
Exactly. ला भन्नुहुन्छ नि हुन्छ कस्तो कि एउटा फेरि एउटा दिमागलाई अनुव्यार थिङ्किङ टु मच त्यो हाइपोथेटिकल हो होइन एउटा फेरि हाइपोथेसिसैबाट निस्किने त हो सबै कुराहरू होइन अनि त्यहाँ चाहिँ ओके सो डुवर्समा जे गरेर आएको छ we're trying to create more doers, more entrepreneurs, trying to make this network happen. एउटा आर्काइभ बनाउनु खोजिरहेको छ एउटा प्लेटफर्म बनाउनु खोजिरहेको छ people can network and do this and that. So I'm doing it for myself. मैले सोसाइटीको लागि गरेर राखेन I'm not doing it for anybody, I'm doing it for myself वाला थियो कि नि त्यो दिन चाहिँ सायद त्यो लाइन नगएको भए त्यो ड्याडसँग त्यो 7-8 तल्ला नचढेको भए बिकज आई सो ड्याड वर ह्याभिङ अ टफ टाइम बिस्तारै आइराख्नु भयो म खुर्र जान्थेँ नि फेरि कुर्थेँ अनि यु क्याचअप होइन अनि मलाई त त्यस्तो थट्स आयो कि मलाई अनि सो त्योमा चाहिँ आई थिङ्क के गर्ने होला त ल लेट्स थिङ्क फ्रम अ पोजिटिभ माइन्ड के गर्ने त वाट क्यान वी डु टु मेक आवर यङ्गर जेनेरेसन मोर अन्टरप्रिन्योर टु मेक देम सी प्रब्लम्स एज एन अपर्च्युनिटी टु सी कि you make money by solving a problem and if society has a problem if you can solve that it will reward it so for you to make money kahi janu pardaina just pick a problem and solve it you will be rewarded by society somehow huncha ni to scale ma farak hola त्यो चाहिँ के गर्ने होला त भन्ने मेरो क्वेसन दिमागमा थियो I want to ask this question to you.
I think how big is the problem oil haina we heard a lot about people leaving Nepal and going, but there is also the effort just that the Doers Nepal is doing haina. I think yesterday Shark Tank Gopani I was watching where the effort really is to create that entrepreneurial society, encourage गर्ने हैन आफ्नो startup को लागि and stuff like that. So it's a full ecosystem that needs to sort of develop and create that sort of environment to do that. I think this of course policy, political stability, everything plays a big role in supporting it. But at the same time, I feel like a big factor in that is also the opportunity, right? That can be done. Like, so I think there are so many things that Nepal we can still do. And I still strongly believe we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Very often, creating something completely new is considered more novel or more sexy. It's just if you look at it, Ola pani to Uber ko copy ho. India mein there are so many startups that is just a copy paste of so many things that has already happened in and around the world. And when you do that, the chance of the model failing is also less, I think, right? So I think that Nepal has that opportunity, that market, the mindset, people's willingness to consume and everything, where if you get something that is truly of value, the society will then sort of accept it and sort of rewarded जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ. And Nepal, I think, is less it is a price sensitive country, I think, but less price sensitive than maybe India. It's more value conscious जस्तो मलाई लाग्छ. And a society that is more value conscious is generally looking for good quality services and products and are willing to spend on it, right? So ingredients छ, I think, हैन, काम गर्न मात्रै बाँकी छ.
रेसिपी चाहियो
अब रेसिपी चाहियो अनि अब पाक्नु पर्यो.
एक्ज्याक्टली. 5 वर्ष भयो नेपाल आएको.
5 वर्ष.
इज द एनी पर्टिकुलर लाइक इफ आई हेभ टु से लाइक 3 थिङ्स होइन, यदि तिमीलाई चाहिँ आज चाहिँ थाहा भएछ नेपालको बारेमा, डे 1 इयर 1 मा थाहा भएको भए चाहिँ यो स्पिड वुड हेभ बिन मच फास्टर भनेर सोध्यो भने चाहिँ वाट वुड बी द्याट 3 थिङ? बुझ्यो मेरो प्रश्न?
Interesting. If I knew these 3 things, then I could have executed faster.
Faster, yeah. On a year 1 of you running things in Nepal.
I think one is just a retail consumer mindset. Just understanding what the consumer buying behaviors are, what they want, what do they care about, and stuff like that. But I think that only experience and time can solve for that, right? So that is when you interact with your customers and things. Those are the things that you learn, right? In general, I think Nepal it looks for value. That is my. I think a lot of people might differ on this. म पनि साथीहरुसँग कुरा गर्दाखेरि I think Nepal does. It's not. Price is important, but if you give a good experience, that is also important. So I think that is one. Just understanding consumer mindset, consumer buying behavior, and all of that. That I think I'm learning, and it's still a long journey, right? And that is only by being on the ground and interacting with customers do I know. The second thing is I think about just there is a lot of emphasis here, like how do you sell, right? Every country, the selling is a different experience. You might be selling the same pen, right? To, let's say, someone in the bank, right? But that person in the bank over here versus in another part of the world you'll have a very different sort of approach to that, right? So what I've realized here is selling here is a lot of relationship building.
Is that good or bad? हरेको pros and cons हुन्छ हुन त.
Sometimes I feel like relationship becomes more important than what that pen can do for me.
Exactly.
Right? Versus another pen, right? So I don't know. Sometimes maybe that hampers the decision, right? Your objective as a buyer is to buy the best pen at the lowest value of the best quality. But sometimes maybe if relationship plays a role, maybe you end up buying the second best quality pen, but at the lowest value when you had a better alternative. Right? So I think how selling happens.
This is okay. Continue this, but also add यसको cons भयो. यसको pros चाहिँ के हुन सक्छ?
I think when you do relationship based selling, right?
A transaction.
Then maybe the long-term satisfaction in a product or a service is maybe more, right? Or right now, if I sell something to you and हाम्रो relationship अनुभव त हामी चाहिँ चिया खान पनि जान सक्छौँ भन्ने भएको छ भने, and if you have a problem with that product, right, then you can call me up and be like, यो त भएन, यो त यस्तो भयो, and then maybe I will personally look into it and I will try and solve that problem, right? So
do you think relationship based sales ले चाहिँ the chances of failures लाई चाहिँ अलिकति कम गरिदिने हो? Because you want to like the person, you want to know the person, you want to हुन्छ नि social के अरे के भन्छ त्यो एउटा स्टार्टअपमा ड्यू डिलिजेन्स हैन, सोशल ड्यू डिलिजेन्स गरिसकेको हुन्छ तिमीले even before you buy, हैन?
Yeah, I mean, if you are able to build that relationship then your chance of failure is less. I know,
Mm.
but then there are situations where you go, but there is already an existing relationship or this the thing. You know? So it's maybe the trade-off is that you don't always end up making the most optimal decision.
Mm.
But I think post-sales, that relationship play
Act as a
can reduce the chance of failure or disappointment at both ends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Third
Third.
kura, like I think I have personally, my view has been even internally, right? The what I tell everyone is, externally I don't care how much time someone is taking. Internally, we shouldn't be slow. Or internally, we shouldn't. When something is supposed to be executed, we should execute it within time, right? बाहिरको कुरा त हाम्रो हातमा छैन भन्ने हुन्छ होइन, बट आई थिङ्क द्याट इज इजियर सेड देन डन होइन. सो पेसेन्स इज आई थिङ्क एकदमै इम्पोर्टेन्ट. आई थिङ्क स्पेसली 5 years ago maybe when you're much younger and you're more जस्तो हुनै पऱ्यो, आजको भोलि हुनु पऱ्यो भन्ने माइन्डसेट हुन्छ. आई थिङ्क आई एम स्टिल नट पेसेन्ट इनफ. I am still conflicted that you should be impatient about certain things. I don't like patience is seen always as a very positive virtue. But I think impatience is also important about certain things. Right? So certain things I should, maybe if I knew patience 5 years ago, I would have probably done things slightly differently. But how do you balance that impatience or patience about certain things is important.
Would you agree if I say you have to be impatient with yourself and patient with others?
Yes, but how do you do that?
अघि तिमीले भने जस्तो कि एक्सटर्नली जति नै स्लो भए पनि इन्टरनली चाहिँ फास्ट हुनुपर्छ भन्ने कन्टेक्स्टमा चाहिँ when you become impatient with yourself internally, you start executing things faster and you demand more from yourself. तर I think हिजो I was reading this quote, आज हामीले झन्डै कोटहरूको गरिरहेको छ कि we think we can change others and we are wrong, and we think we can't change ourselves and that is wrong. होइन त्यो कन्टेक्स्टमा चाहिँ अगेन कनेक्टिङ द्याट विथ बिङ इम्पेसेन्ट विथ योर सेल्फ. You can change yourself, you can expedite, you can tweak it, but then when you want to tweak someone else, when you want to make somebody else faster, it's going to be very difficult, right? Maybe at times it's not even possible पनि हुँदैन होला, because the other person will not feel the need or urgency from within. So do you think will it be a right statement to say?
100%. I think something like that. I think eventually you need to, like, it's a process, it's a journey, but you need to sit down and figure out the things that you want to be impatient about and things you want to be patient about. Like let's say you decide that I want to build a network of mentors or whatever, right? Now maybe that is something that takes time, right? Relationship building does not happen as a bholi. It's a lot of
years.
It's a very organic long-term process, right? Now if you say impatiently I will keep messaging him, calling him, or whatever, you try to build that, then maybe that doesn't work. It's a certain things, man. I think it's very difficult to define, but certain tasks, man. I think impatience and that impatience and linked to execution. If you can execute with speed certain things, then I think that is useful as well in certain contexts.
Lovely. मजा आयो तिमीसँग कुरा गरेर.
Likewise.
Thank you so much for making time. For अघि मैले एउटा अफ द रेकर्ड एउटा क्वेसन के सोधेको थिएँ भन्दाखेरि what do you feel about coming out into the public and talking about what you are doing भन्दाखेरि चाहिँ you give me a lovely answer कि Anup, when you come out in the public and talk about things, people remember and you might be held accountable for that, होइन?
Correct.
But then again तिमीले नै भन्यो, it could also act as a motivation कि now
accountability is a good thing sometimes.
Accountability is a good lot of times.
Most of the time.
Self accountability all the time.
Yeah.
होइन अनि थ्याङ्क यू सो मच फर ओपनिङ अप फर बिङ अनेस्ट होइन अनि आई थिङ्क फर्स्ट कन्भर्सेसन पनि एकदमै क्याजुअली नै एकदमै इन्साइटफुल थियो अनि आई थिङ्क सेम हियर again and I'll figure out more time to have you back again on the podcast.
No, thank you so much, Anup. I think what I was telling you, if there was another series, like a pre-series to the Doers, if it was called the Triers or the Doing one, maybe I would have done been a better fit over there because the journey is still.
I think like okay, a lot of doers have this trait of imposter syndrome that they have not done enough.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
So I still think my journey is still a long way to go, and lots of things still to do. But thank you for this opportunity. Through this process, I think I got to meet you and learn a lot from you as well.
Same here, and I hope एक दुईजनालाई हामीले केही नयाँ कुराहरू सिकायौँ होला केही नयाँ कुरामा इन्सपायर गरौँ होला तिमी केमा एक्टिभ छौ सबभन्दा इफ पिपल वान्ट टु आई नो यु ट्राई टु किप युर डिजिटल फुटप्रिन्ट एज लेस एज पोसिबल होइन तर इफ समबडी वाचिङ दिस दे हेभ दिस अमेजिङ वान इनोभेटिभ आइडिया अराउन्ड इभिज एन्ड दे वान रिच आउट टु यु वाट इज द मोस्ट आइडियल वे टु रिच आउट
लिङ्क्डइन मेरो प्रोफाइल चाहिँ अपडेट चाहिँ छैन तर आइ एम भेरी लिङ्क्डइन नै म बढी हेर्छु अर आई थिङ्क इफ यु सर्च माई नेम होइन यु वर ओन्ली सेङ कि मेरो नाम अलिकति युनिक खालको छ सो इफ यु सर्च
Sahayu होइन
SAHAYU सो इफ यु सर्च माई नेम अन फेसबुक or Instagram I think आइहाल्छ
should not be very
it
difficult to
shouldn't be
find.
difficult to track me down.
Okay. And we have been telling this to our audience कि एउटा राइट अप्रोचले मान्छेलाई रिच आउट गर्यो भने चाहिँ बिकज अ लट अफ वन्डरफुल थिङ्स द्याट हेज ह्यापन टु मी इन माई लाइफ इज बिकज आई हेभ रिच्ड आउट टु राइट पिपल के एन्ड मोस्ट अफ द टाइम हुन्छ नि त्यो 99 वटा नो भन्दा 1 एस हेज ह्याड अ बिगर इम्प्याक्ट इन मी सो त्यो एउटा रिच आउटवाला कल्चर चाहिँ हामीले कुरा पनि गरेर आउँछौँ सो फर पिपल वाचिङ दिस आई थिङ्क एउटा राइट कन्टेक्स्ट लिएर रिच आउट गऱ्यो भने त यु नेभर नो हुन्छ नि न्यू पार्टनरसिप न्यू कोलाबोरेसन माइट अकर फ्रम द्याट वान सिम्पल मेसेज बट जस्ट डोन्ट से हाई hello I
know absolutely always open to that always open to brainstorm share ideas discuss whatever it is.
I'll find more good reasons to have you back again on this episode on this podcast यहाँसम्म हेरिसक्नु भयो भने kudos I think पेसेन्ट मान्नुपर्छ तपाईँलाई होइन बिकज आई थिङ्क हामी धेरै लामो कुरा गऱ्यौँ अनि फर एभ्रिबडी वाचिङ दिस हुन्छ जस्ट टु अफ अस इन फ्रन्ट अफ अ क्यामेरा बट दे आर अमेजिङ पिपल बिहाइन्ड द क्यामेरा बिहाइन्ड द कम्प्युटर स्क्रिन बिहाइन्ड सोसल मिडिया मेकिङ स्योर कि राइट टाइममा अपलोड भइरहेको छ कलर ठिक छ अडियो ठिक छ साउन्ड ठिक छ होइन सो थ्याङ्क्स टु आवर टिम थ्याङ्क्स टु आवर प्रोडक्सन कम्पनी Viewfinders is one of the largest B2B content producer in the country. We produce tons of content, tons of shows for a lot of good brands. So यति हजुरलाई आफ्नो डिजिटल फुटप्रिन्ट क्रिएट गर्न मन छ र if you are struggling to figure out a way of content strategy that connect with your sales, Viewfinders is the platform you should reach out. तल लिङ्क छ reach out to us and then would love to catch up for a cup of coffee and then see how we can help you. यति भन्दै we'll be back again with another amazing episode. Do me one more favor. Share this episode to one person जसलाई चाहिँ तपाईँलाई लाग्छ कि this episode can really help them change their mindset. Only like, share and subscribe, and if you do that I'm going to work hard to bring more amazing people having more amazing conversation just for you. So we'll be back again with another amazing episode another time. Till then you guys take care. Bye bye.